Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. This light is so bright. Hold on 2 seconds. It's so bright. It's too bright. It's too bright. I was like, damn, I feel like I'm being dragged away to the sunlight. Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. Talking to you guys today. Open panel where we get to have conversations with both women and men. We get to discuss some important issues. Today we are discussing what is holding the black community back, or rather should I say, what is holding the black men and the black women back in 2023? What is holding you back? Maybe nothing's holding us back. What is holding us back? And it's an open panel, meaning anybody can join, with all respects as well to everybody in the crowd. Listen, if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. All right, cool. Someone said I come from Diddy's white party. No, I did not. Okay, all right. I just thought upon a bit of white today. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy. But yes, we're having a delicious conversation. So listen, if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe to this channel, and then click on the bell button for the notification of the uploads. Because we appreciate you guys, okay? All right, we appreciate you guys. We want to have some good conversations today. What is holding back black men and black women in 2023? What is holding us back? You know, let me put my headphones in because that's what we're gonna need. We had a conversation on Sunday where we spoke about what was holding back the black man. And we came up with some really great conversation points about what was holding us back. Some of them describing the information that's out there, mentoring, having father figures in space, the need for the family unit, the need for community, the need for obviously people to invest in education, etc., etc. There was a whole heap of things that we came up with yesterday, but today we're opening up. What is holding us back? Ladies, we want to hear from you today as well as the gentlemen. So if you have any thoughts around what's holding us back, we'd love to hear from yourselves. Okay, Amber, I can see you in the back there, babe. I think your camera's not working, but I can see you in the back. I can see you're already ready to jump on. What is holding us back, guys? Let me have some points in the chat. If you're in the chat, drop me some points in the chat, baby. Okay, drop me some points in the chat. What is holding us back at the current moment? Okay, that's what we're discussing. Let me just put this on to pin so you guys also get it as well. Okay, so I think one of the things that was interesting about this conversation is when we spoke on Sunday, from the men's point of view. I think one of the key things that I really loved and picked up was that what's holding us back, really and truly, one of the things that's holding us back is around the way that we have information. Informational control is huge. Okay, informational control is huge. What kind of information do you get? That's the biggest thing, because I really do believe that a lot of people want to be able to do better, but they don't see how to do better, because they don't have the information at hand to do so. And I think that's a key thing. I think really and truly, if more people had more information, I think would be able to be more wiser and choose different options. I think a lot of times when we talk about, the men were talking the other time about how when we grew up, the people around us, and I think one of the key differences is that there's information at hand. You grow up in a particular household where you're expected to excel, you're expected to go to college, you're expected to go to university, you're expected to do big things, and that expectation becomes part of the mindset and becomes part of the standard. And it's like, your standard is not just to survive. Your standard isn't just to not die. Your standard isn't just to, make a little bit of money. Your standard is you can do whatever you choose to do and put your mind to it very, very well. So there's a lot of things like that that are also very, very important when it comes to this conversation in terms of mindset, especially for people. And I think one of the biggest things is information at hand. Let me get Amber on as well, because hello Amber, you're right.
Hi, yes, I'm good. The camera was acting funny. Technology, you got to love it.
Oh, listen, baby, I understand. Don't even worry about it. I got you on that. We'll ask the question. What is holding black men and black women back? What do you think is holding us back, if anything? What do you think is holding us back?
Honestly, I think it's a lack of unity. The family structure is very interesting, and as we grow up, things we learn in our developmental years, we take it with us. Whether that's chaos or whether that's peace, it tends to follow us. And once again, I grew up in a single parent home, so I'm not saying it's not doable, but there's hurdles I had to overcome that I don't think I would have overcame if both of my parents were consistently in my life.
So. When you say obviously the hurdles that you face, even from a single parent household, what do you mean by that then in that regard?
I feel like I primarily grew up with my mother. My parents divorced when I was 10. We moved to a different state. I'm in contact with my father, but I don't see him very often. Looking at some of my experience with men, my self-esteem, I'm be 28 in a couple months. I feel like it affected how I viewed myself and how I viewed the opposite sex. The daddy issues to be, it sounds like a cliche, but it actually does play its part, so to speak.
No, I definitely love the point you brought up there, especially about the family unit and how important it is. And I think you hear it spoken about on the internet quite a lot, but then we don't, I guess we do it as more of a case of trying to bash people over the head. So it becomes polarizing in the conversation rather than healing, and rather than actually like looking at genuine ways to actually bring the community together. And you're absolutely right. I think the family unit is one of the biggest issues around for us as a black folk. And I remember even being in school. I mean, when I went to a school which was probably like the second worst in the country at the time, it's now closed down. It was predominantly black. Yeah, it was like 95, 96, 97, 98% black. Okay. And the other 2% was Polish. So that would tell you something. And I remember my shock when I came there, because it was quite a difference from, I came from an all-white primary school, which is from the ages of about 5 to 11, right? So I think you guys, it's elementary for you guys or something. Yeah, I came from an all-white school pretty much, where there was only 2 or 3 black people. And the biggest difference was that when I went to secondary school, which is between 11 and 16, there was very few people who had their both mom and dads. Very few. In fact, I was the anomaly of a few people. So I was like, wait. And I didn't understand, because you're young at this point. You don't really get it. You assume everybody has it that particular way. But then when I see the behavior that some of us were exhibiting, okay, within that structure, this is not to say label anyone bad or anything. It's just an observation. The behavior of those kids in that school was something to behold. You know what I mean? So then you do see how the family unit immediately impacts a young kid in school, especially for young boys. I think especially for young boys and rather than young women, because of the way that society gives us a bit of a pass in terms of some of the consequences of behavior. He's a young boy, he's growing, he's rambunctious, he can do that kind of thing. And it gives him a little bit of a pass. And I think it just some of the behaviors that I saw, I was like, yo, I could never do that. My household would never allow that stuff to happen. My dad would beat my ass. Like, you know what I mean? They don't necessarily have that same situation. Maybe their mom would, but they don't necessarily have that same thing. And it almost made me feel a bit sad, because I didn't understand why. You know what I mean? Because you're still young. You don't understand why. You just know that is the case. So I definitely believe what you're saying on the fact that, the household is a major thing. Definitely.
Definitely. Also, I mean, I work in social media, and I do feel like, how can I put this? I feel like our current culture, we reward foolishness. I mean, you have like the Zeus TV shows and
Hook on it.
What's the girl's name? The Christian Blue or whatever.
Yep.
I keep seeing that all over my timeline, and I'm like, why do I keep seeing them fighting and making money fighting on TV? I don't. And I'm not gonna lie, I've watched some Real Housewives. I have my guilty pleasure. But it's just like, it's really seems like foolishness is being rewarded. It's like, how are you well known across the country for getting in fights? on TV for everybody to see. It's like, has anybody been seriously injured? Any luck? It's crazy to me. I never thought I'd see so much foolishness rewarded. It's like the more foolish stuff you do, the more you go viral, and of course, viral in this time it equals dollars.
You touched on a big big point there about dysfunctional behavior being rewarded, and it's so funny because I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think it was Daily Wrap Up Crew, and they were talking about that actually, and the fact that that there is a reward for dysfunctional behavior, which means there's a reward for not changing. There's a reward for your behavior which is detrimental to you, and it means that person doesn't change. So like Christian Rock, the more toxic she becomes, more dysfunctional she becomes. And she's not the only one. When Blueface becomes more dysfunctional and more toxic, they get more rewards for it, and it's almost now got to a point where we've normalized their behavior is not just toxic. See, toxic would be like, some manipulative behaviors and stuff like that. Their behavior is not. It's DV. You guys are promoting DV on my screen. Both of these people are DV artists, and they're literally being pushed in front of us, not in an educational way, not in a way that let's look how we can heal these people, but rather in a more celebratory way. And people, my problem with them is that the person whose mind has altered and got to a mature state can differentiate and say, this ain't it. I'm gonna watch this for entertainment, and it is what it is for me. But there are other people who are watching it saying, why do I need to change? Because if Christine can do that, I'm similar. I could do what she's doing and get paid for it. Why? What's the incentive to change? So you're absolutely right. I definitely hear that dysfunctionality has now become a part of a reward system as well. Dahlia, how you doing? You right?
I am really good. I just came back from a walk. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, I had a cycle too, so you're good.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, and that you made, Amber, and it's one that I've had to get really intentional about some of the things that I let into my spirit, really. So I've been trying to protect my peace by cultivating my my YouTube feed. So there's just stuff that I can't watch, because I've observed that every time that I watch it, I come away worse for it. Like I'm angry, or I'm stressed, or I'll watch certain channels where they're basically male bashing, and then it's like, now I'm thinking about all the negative stuff about Black men that I wasn't thinking about before I started watching them, and I was like, oh God, no, I gotta get out of here, because this isn't helpful. It's disturbing my spirit. So yeah, I totally understand you on that. And I do think that once you have that awareness, then it's your responsibility to make the decision on how you want to interact with it, because at the end of the day, you have the power and the agency about what you want to let into your life. So I thought that was a very good point, Amber. Absolutely.
Go for it, Amber. If you want to respond, did you want to respond?
Yes, definitely. You have to watch what you let in at the end of the day, because it's like certain things, you just don't want to let in to your spirit. And also, I feel like us seeing things, and like to respond to what Kojo was saying, it desensitizes us.
Yeah.
Different things going viral online and things of that nature. Whether it's a fight on Zeus Network, or whether it's a police brutality case, we become desensitized to it, to the point that it doesn't bother us anymore.
Yeah.
And that's never good. I've noticed I've become desensitized to some stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's actually not good. The fact that this doesn't bother me more,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm angry, I can tell that I'm not as angry as I would have been 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That's kind of scary. It's like, why is my reaction so mid to something that's such a big deal?
I felt the same way about mass shootings for a long time, that I had no real reaction to it, and I didn't experience any feeling around it until the Uvalde shooting. That one had me crying, and after that, it was like, nope, I can't hear anymore. If I see the headline about it, like I can't even like click on the article to read it. I don't want to know, because There's no solutions out of this. It's just more sadness. I already have it in my personal life. I can't. I can't go there anymore. I just can't. So yeah.
No, and I definitely agree with you. Do you know that's what you're talking about is how I feel about slavery films. To be honest with you, I'm tired of seeing
I'm
it.
the same way.
I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it. I don't want to see it. That's why I haven't watched Emancipation of Will Smith. I love Will Smith. I watch anything he's in, but that one I'm choosing not to watch it. I'm sick and tired of it being simply us being in chains all the time, and then having to be re-traumatized over what has happened in the past. I've watched enough now. I now know that story. Give me some stories of things that we actually won. Because it's like we didn't lose everywhere. You know what I mean? We might have lost a war and some of us end up in enslaved, but we won some battles. You know, give me some stories about some great battles that people won. You know, give me some wholesome content about us. When I start seeing slavery, I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore.
That's
it's
why
too
I like
much for me.
King.
That's what. There you go.
Because to be honest with you, and I feel bad about this, but I know nothing about African history, unless it's like directly related to the slave trade. That's it. So I have, well, in ancient Egypt, and it's only because I got really into mythology for a while, but I don't know anything about it. And so I told myself this year I'm going to start doing some research on that, because it's crazy that I don't know anything about my own ancestors' history. There's just like this total blank spot, and I know it's because they literally cut us off from that. But at this point now, it is my responsibility to try and make that connection again, because it can't just be that the only thing that I know about Black people is that we were slaves. But that's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm the same way. The last slave movie I probably saw was 12 Years. After that, I kind of stopped fooling with them. And I know my grandmother, she bought 12 Years on DVD because, you know, she don't like going to movies. She got the first 15 minutes and she turned it off. She said, I will not watch the rest. She couldn't do it. Like her nerves were getting shot. And then I saw it and I'm like, I finished it, but them scenes were, I don't want to see no more slave movies. And there's been some good ones that have come out from what I hear. Emancipation, you know, Kiki did hers, and I've not. I'm just like, I don't want to see that no more. Of course we can't stop learning about it, but I don't. And I'm saying this because of a personal experience I had recently. I don't like feeling like somebody's pain is being made profit off of. The exploitation vibes of it is starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah. I think that actually ties back to the media conversation, especially around music, because it does kind of feel like that. Like you are, at this point now, we know that we're being exploited, but we're also feeding into it as well, and we're kind of making money off of it, but not the kind of money that the people who are heading up the like record companies and stuff are making. It's just, it's unsettling at best. Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, they make millions off of us, especially since we don't buy CDs anymore. Artists don't make money off streams and stuff like they did CD sales when you had points and stuff like that. It's all touring and collaboration deals.
Yeah, and you basically have to, and I think this is probably the reason why we have people like Krishan and Blueface, is because they basically have to sell themselves in order to make money. They're not making money off the music anymore. I have a cousin who's in music production, and he was explaining all that to me. And he's like, by the time the song is made and people are getting their cut off of it, you may get maybe a tenth of that, because you had to go, everybody involved with that song, they got to go get paid too. So it's like the only way that you can, like what you were saying before, either you're touring, but I mean, if you're not actively on tour, you're not making money. So it's like, okay, well, how else can I sell myself? Well, I have to sell myself. So that's why you're going to continue to see people like Krishan and Blueface make a fool of themselves, because how else are they going to make money quickly?
And I think the biggest thing is obviously these people have always been there, but now they have an opportunity to have a platform, and I think that's the biggest thing. You know, they now have a platform to make coins and dollars from. And like I said, I think from my angle, my biggest thing is that they become a catalyst for other people in the community who won't change. They become their idols. So that's my biggest issue with it. It's not necessarily that they're even doing it. It's the fact that other people who are watching them also say, I don't need to change. you know, what's the point of changing? Like, if I can get paid, you know, to do this, what's the point of changing? You know what I mean? Like, if it's the same thing we see in our communities. You know, if someone sees someone else making money from fast money, you know, people get drawn to it. Like, oh, you're making fast money. I want to make fast money, bro. How do you do it? You know what I mean? And then you get drawn into something. And you know, again, the same with, you know, with Christian and Blueface. People are going to be like, well, let's be that next toxic couple. Let's be the next foolish person. Like, we have Fight Club, Bad Girls Club, you know what I mean? Making literal, like, they have become idols based on foolish behavior. You know what I mean? Not like an argument, but actual foolish behavior, like toxic behavior that's dysfunctional and that actually hurts you because they use you like a monkey, and your face is on that screen forever. And also as well, you know, you're doing detriment to your own mental health, because to continue this toxicity, it's poisonous to you yourself. Do you know what I mean? So it's like living in that place, it's harmful, man. Do you know? So to want to stay in it, it's like, it's sad that, you know, that's what sells. But yeah, you know, it's exploitation, as you guys said as well. It's exploitation. Trey, welcome to the conversation, bro. What are you telling me?
Whew. Tired, but I'm here. So,
what's your thoughts, man? What's holding us back? What's holding us back? I know your camera has been a bit slow, but we can hear you good. What's holding us back what's holding black women and men in 2023?
It's pretty much what we've been talking about for the last weeks, months. You know, lack of communication, not proper communication, just too many singular thoughts. It's me. All about me. What can you do for me? You know, where it used to be, at least for a little bit, us, our, you know, what can we do together? You know, but more and more you talk to people, and it almost seems like it's becoming more of a trend than just a way of thinking now. It's more of a trendy. It's trendy. Like, no, it's all about me. I'm on my grind. It's all about me. You know, it's a little disheartening, to say the least. You know, actually, when I came in, I was listening to y'all when y'all was talking about what's that girl name that got blue face? What's her name? What's the girl name?
Christine. Krishan, thank you. You know me, I kill names.
Krishan. I don't watch them. Every time they come on or something come across them, I skip it, turn it off, or go someplace else. I knew where that was the first time I saw that toxicity. I was like, oh no, I'm not putting this in my space. You know, I don't need it. I know what that is, you know. And you're right, because they're trying to sensationalize it. Like, that's what's like, wow, you really trying to sensationalize DV. This, you know, it was always on TV and you saw it, you know, in our daily lives, people did, but it was always spoken in the sense of, hey, this is wrong. Whenever you see it, this is wrong. We need to try to refrain from doing this. Do all you can to stop this from happening. But now it's like, I see them, I'm like, everyone knows that this is bad. It's not like, you know, everybody's food or nothing. Everyone knows this is bad. And yet I see so much quiet support to push it to our faces for entertainment purposes. So it's like, okay, wow, you know. So yeah, every time they come on, I turn it off. And bringing it back to the main point, when you see situations like that, that adds to holding all of us back. It just adds to it, you know.
I appreciate it, Trey. Trey, your connection is giving you a hard time, so it cuts in and out when you're talking. I heard it, but it's just cutting in and out, so it's going to be hard for people to hear it. I don't know if you
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you can get somewhere where the Wi-Fi or the connection's good, because it just keeps cutting in and out. But I heard what your point was, so I got the gist of it. Thank you, Dre. Ladies, what's your additions in this particular? What's your thoughts? And let's go for Amber.
I definitely agree with Trey. As somebody that has seen DV, for it to be glorified in that manner, it honestly pisses me off. It really is just like, and it shows how far we've really strayed away. I feel like, and I'm a Christian, but I'm gonna even take that out of it. Simple morality, not even let's take holiness and righteousness out of the conversation. Morality. I remember, I was born in 95, so this came out a few years before I was born. But I remember when I was younger, they would talk about the Tina Turner movie all the time. And everybody would talk about how terrible that was and how that was jacked up and et cetera, et cetera. And people talked about how, like, you know, Ike was supposed to make a comeback, and then that movie came out and it really just destroyed his brand and yada, yada, yada. And to go from that to one of the most talked about couples on social media, basically playing that out on our TV screens in 30 years, is scary.
Oh, wow.
That's scary. It's like, so now, because it's on social media, it's okay. And it's just like, okay, first of all, people's lives are in danger. I pray nobody is. It's not smart. It's not smart at all. Honestly, I'm surprised nobody has gotten sued behind this foolishness, and they may have, and maybe we just don't know about it because they, settled it out of court, kept it on the low, to keep it quiet or whatever. But I'm just really, and if I'm wrong, isn't the Blueface and the girl, they're on Zeus, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
Zeus owned by a black man? Because I remember seeing an interview he did with
Yes, it is.
with TGIF, and it got real heated in that interview. So this is us putting this out here for us to see. This is us exploiting us to us, and that's foolishness on a whole nother level. I'm gonna pass it on to Dalia.
Okay, so just to kind of tie Amber and Trey's points together, you had said before that, Trey, people like people who watch people like Blueface and Krishan, they know what they're doing, they know it's bad. I'm gonna push back and say, I don't think they do. And the reason why I say this is because of what Amber just said. You brought up an excellent point when you were talking about what's love got to do with it. I don't, and maybe this is just the people that I've been around, but I've had so many people crack jokes about that movie. Eat the cake, anime, eat the cake. We literally make jokes about that. I've done that. Like, I thought nothing of it. I remember when that movie came out, because I'm actually a little bit older than you. So I remember when it came out, and great movie, and it was horrible, but also there was like all these, what I always thought of as funny one-liners, and Black people for years have had quote after quote after quote from that. I went back and I watched a clip of it last week, and I was horrified because I hadn't seen it in a while. So I was able to just watch it with fresh eyes. And I was like, this lady got beat up by her husband for like 90% of the film. And we are joking about it. Like, Eat the Cake anime, she was being physically assaulted by her husband in a restaurant in front of a bunch of people, and nobody helped her. And the one person who was on her side left because she got slapped. Like, we literally make jokes about this. We think this is normal. That's our culture, right? We think that stuff is normal. So Trey, I don't know if we can really say that people know better. I don't know that they do. I think that we are so used to this and desensitized. I think we're so used to it that we have normalized it now. And so when people push back against it, we look like the prudes. Because at this point now, I'm a bit of a pacifist, and I had to be, because I had to take a hard line on violence. I had to say to myself and to my younger siblings, okay, if I'm telling you that it's not okay for you to hit other people, and it has to be across the board. But I know that's not the culture that we live in. That's not Black culture, and it's definitely not American culture. I don't know how it is in the UK. It ain't like that over here. We're very much about violence. We're very much about our guns, which is why we are the way that we are. I think that we have to be honest about the fact that we do think this stuff is okay. We do think it's normal. That's us. That's the culture. So,
I agree with you, but I would say two things can be correct. I think what we're really talking about is the dichotomy of humanity, period. What I mean is, like, okay, most of the time we know what right and wrong. You know, you have that feeling like it's the same way, yet you do it anyway. We know killing, murder, still is wrong. Yeah, how many wars have man raged across this world for thousands of years? Just because you know it's wrong, that for some people that doesn't stop them from doing so for whatever reason they will put forth why they did it. You know, so it's a hard pill to swallow, but two things can be right at the same time. I do believe most people, they know it's wrong. You can feel it. You know, you feel it. You know this is not right what you're seeing. Yet there are some things that we either accept or just gloss over, act like it's not there. You know. But you know, we as human beings, we are strange creatures. You ever thought about that? We are strange creatures. Like when you compare us to the rest of the animal kingdom, they pretty much have a set line that they follow. You know, it's their nature. They kind of stick to it. Us, man. The fact that we can rationalize, the fact that we have rationality and the choice to choose, which I think that's the main gift that God gave us, the gift of choice. Because if it weren't for choice, all this Adam and Eve and the apple and all that wouldn't matter. He didn't give us the choice in the first place. We wouldn't have never had any of these issues. But he gave us the gift of choice. You know, he didn't want, you know, demanding love from us. He wanted unconditional love. For unconditional love, you have to choose to give that unconditionally. You know, but it's a double-edged sword. You know, our rationale allows us to rationalize all the good that we may put out and all the evil that we may put out as well. But that's just the dichotomy of humanity. You know, it can be beautiful, it can be horrifying, but it is us. You know, just leave that there.
Appreciate you, Trey. Trey, you need to get wherever you need to get to so we can get some more connection, because bro, it's hard to hear you. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? Just get drive where you need to drive to, sir, and get some good connection. Because right now it's good.
I'm done for now. I ain't moving. It's snowing. I'm like, nah.
Oh, the snow probably doing it.
Oh, it's snow. Okay, I hear you.
Where I'm at.
We're gonna try and make it work, but bro, your connection right now is doing Ted freaking Riley with bad voice too. That's what's holding us back. I appreciate you, Trey. Sorry, ladies, go for it. If you want to respond to Trey's sentiments.
I like what Trey said. I wasn't gonna go here, but Trey kind of, led us in that direction. So I'm a kind of, I forget what the racers call it. I'm gonna tap in, and we gonna keep going in that direction. One thing I will say, and I wasn't gonna go in this direction, but I feel like, okay, everybody does not believe the same thing. It has been that way since the beginning of time. That will never change. However, I do feel like, let's say hypothetically 30 years ago, let's put it in the 90s. I feel like we had a bit more of a, even if you didn't call it that, I feel like it was more of a Christian foundation when it came to morality. And it seems like as things have kind of gotten away from that, and it's been more of do what you want, do what you feel, your vibes, your energy, and this different stuff. it seems like the more that has kind of got pushed away from things, it comes down to the fact of it seems like things have gotten crazier. Once again, I know everybody is not going to believe in the same thing, but it did seem like things were a bit more, there were more we agreed upon at one point when it came to what was right, what was wrong. And then when that started getting diversified a whole bunch, the drama came with it. And now with social media, everybody's an expert. Everybody is, you know, a spiritual healer, a guru. Everybody is talking. Everybody knows about energy. Everybody knows about how to manifest this and how to do that. And there's no set right and wrong. It's just, I hate to say it, everybody doing what's right in their own eyes. My church people know where I get that from, and it's a mess. It's a mess. There's no foundation. There's nothing to go right and wrong. And when there's no foundation, things are gonna go crazy. It's like having a recipe and you won't stick to the measurements. It's not gonna come out right.
Darling, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, you've echoed some sentiments that I've had for a long time, Amber. I feel like, and this isn't just like a Black culture thing. I think that Western society, at least, we have been in a state of deconstruction for probably the last 5 decades, I would say, where we've basically taken everything that underpins our society and proceeded to dismantle it in very short order. But we never actually had an end goal in mind. So it was always, it's like, okay, well, do we actually need this? Let's break it apart and find out. And then now we just have pieces. And so we're realizing it's like, oh, snap, maybe that wasn't the best of ideas. But we never, at this point now, we have not agreed upon how we want to build it. If we want to go back to what we used to do, or if we want to do something different. I think we're kind of at a crossroads right now, because I'm starting to see this major shift. And I feel like it may just history, how people work. Every time we go from one extreme, we immediately swing back to the other side. So we were extremely liberal. Everything was deconstructed. And now I'm starting to see a lot more people wanting to be conservative. Like Kojo used to the live where people got onto Sierra because of her song, and so they're saying, no, we don't want to be independent anymore. Oh, really? Ain't that interesting? Okay, you don't want to be independent. Well, what do you want to be? Dependent? You want the man to do everything? What do you want? Like, I feel like to your point, we don't have a foundation, and I do think that there needs to be some sort of like a touchstone that binds us together. And this actually is the reason why I jumped on the live, is because I just did this research for myself. Y'all probably know this phrase, Jehovah Nissi. I've been hearing that in songs my whole life. I had no clue what that phrase actually meant until last week. And I realized that it means Jehovah is my banner. And it's because those of us who are Christians, we are brothers and sisters in Christ, because God is now our rallying point. He is our banner. So that's the connective tissue between us all. I think right now we don't really have that. There's nothing that actually binds us together. And I mean that on a human level and also on like a Black cultural level. I don't think that we really have that. And so I think now we need to figure that out, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get to the point where you're talking about, Amber, where we actually have like a foundation and we can build off of that. So.
Yeah. No, I think we're in an interesting time right now, because it's very hard to so we're currently feeling the repercussions of, I guess, mental slavery, for better words, I should say, and we're learning what it means to be free, and being free sometimes can have profound consequences on the people that are free, because now there's no limitation and no bounds. Get yours however you need to get yours. You know what I mean? And sometimes that can push the community in a particular direction where anything goes. And I think that's where we're probably at the moment. I think we are we are at those extremes where we're kind of testing our boundaries. You know, let's see how far we can go. You know,
Yeah.
let's see how much we can get away with. Let's see how far we can stretch those boundaries now, you know, because of where we came from. And I think it may take a little while before we kind of yo-yo back and we kind of get a place where like, yo, okay, let's find some, as you guys keep saying, keyword balance. Let's find some balance in this. Because, and I think, you know, the sad reality is, for instance, like we're highlighting Zeus, the sad reality is the reason why Zeus is such a problem is more because of the fact that we have very few outlets. So you are going to get hyper-focused upon because you're one of the few outlets. Should we have had hundreds and thousands of different outlets, we'd just say let's trash TV. So whoever watches that is low vibrational. You know, that we'll just say that you're low class citizen if you watch that. You know, and we'll leave it at that. But because we're we're only a few, you get highlighted a lot more, and you get told you're doing more harm to the community because we don't have many outlets. You know what I mean? Like we just talked about Creed 3 just today. But the reason why I wanted to watch Creed 3 is because I saw some black people in it. Let me be honest. I mean, I love Creed already, but I'm just saying I enjoyed it more because I saw some black people that were in it. My representation. Because there ain't many of it. So now if there's a film that comes out that is celebrating dysfunctionality, I'm going to probably have my eyes on it more because we only have a few outlets. So it makes it even, the bar gets raised really, really high in terms of threshold. You know, as well. But that's not saying it's an excuse. It's more of just kind of an observation of what I'm seeing in terms of what I see on the landscape. I do think we do need to yo-yo ourselves back to some form of balance. You know, that I think there needs to be a yo-yo of that. And someone asked a question: how do we include those who aren't Christian in a way to share spiritual understanding? Okay, I personally think that the society suffers from a lack of, I'm gonna say it, a lack of excellence within the church. Can I be honest with you? We are so excellent in the church and nowhere else. And that's, I think, the biggest problem. We are nowhere to be seen as excellent outside of the church. You know what I mean? With all due respect. When people do become excellent, they end up becoming secular artists or secular musicians or secular actors or this. So there's no space for them, right? But if we believe that quote unquote Christianity is the way to go, then we do need to start supporting people who leave the church to go out and pilgrimage into the big bad world. You know, we've got to be able to support them so that they can create excellent content. Because I'm gonna lie to you, some of the films about Jesus have been hella corny. Okay, corny is being used here because it has been corny, and Jesus would not be proud. I'm sorry. Some of the stuff that y'all be putting out, Jesus don't want it. Okay, all right. Jesus don't want it. He's not even nailing that to the cross because he's like it's not worth it. Like it's not because it's so bad. It's just like it's like we become so restricted. You know, that's why I said that Kanye's piece of work, whether you like him or not, for me was amazing. I had people sitting across me at work telling me, "I listen to Jesus is King." I said, "You listen to what?" "Yeah, it's so good." And I said, "Wait, you were listening to Kanye's album?" So yeah, it was amazing. You know, because no matter what you say, good music is good music. When it's produced well, people will buy into it. The problem we have is that we don't produce sometimes very well, and that can make people turned off. You know, well, we all scream about Stomp on Kirk Franklin. That song, even non-Christians know that song. That song has hits. Kirky be having hits. I'm saying, like, Kirky be having some hits. Okay. So what I'm really saying is I think if we believe the cure to our dysfunctional societies have more Jesus in it, I do feel like we need to produce more greater content. Do you know what I mean? Like we need more people who are going to produce excellence and take over. You know, go for it, Amber.
I do want to say this. I hope that nobody watching took from my comment that I believe everyone will be Christian. I'm a believer, you know. My thing is the fact of having morality. You don't have to be a Christian to know stealing is wrong. You don't have to be a Christian to know lying is wrong. You don't have to be a Christian to know if I do something to somebody, I shouldn't do something to somebody that I would want them to do to me. it's just the fact that I feel like our moral compass, let's even take the Christianity out of it. I feel like the moral compass has really fallen by the wayside. Because at the end of the day, a child, when they're born, is not Christian because they don't know nothing about God. But they know that if they take a cookie off the table when the mama said, leave it alone, they know that they might get reprimanded in some way. Because you know why? Because mama told them don't do that till after dinner. Like, we're born knowing right from wrong. And I feel like we rationalize it, as somebody said earlier, to fit our needs. The end justifies the means. And I feel like because dysfunctionality keeps getting promoted, that rationalization has gotten worse and gotten worse and gotten worse. With Kojo's comment about the outlets, that is very true. I was sitting here thinking, you know, we used to always say that we needed to produce us more. We needed to put us out more, have platforms for us. But then you look at stuff like your Zeus. I'm like, okay, that's not really all that hot. I hate to go here. I'm a big Tyler Perry fan. But if we talk about it in my house, the fact how it seems like once Tyler Perry became more mainstream, the quality has just kind of gone, woo. From the wigs going viral to the plots being thin to the acting being interesting to even the fact of a lot of the stuff, even some stuff that I watch sometimes like Sisters and things of that nature, promotes toxicity, baby mama drama, this and this, that, and the third, and yada, yada, yada. And it's the fact of this is still stuff coming from us. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not really helping the situation because everybody's worried about their bag. And how it actually shows us and what it's actually feeding the minds of us and the generations to come really does not seem to be a concern or a priority. So it's just, it can't just be we have to put stuff out. You know, it does need to be done in some excellence. I mean, it shouldn't have to always be a Black Panther type situation to be deemed excellent. We should be able to put out some stuff ourselves and it be on that same level of excellence.
But it used to be that at one point in time. We, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had the most Black films ever. And we can name off string and we can string off right now. But we were heavy. Even to Broadway. You mentioned Tyler Perry, that's where he started at, on plays. Heavy. And he wasn't the only one. It was just plays. Something happened in the mid-2000s. Something happened. And there was a huge drop-off everywhere. If you listen to some of the actors, Black actors talk about it, they mention it too. That mid-2000 area, something happened. There was a shift in Hollywood or wherever you want to put it. It just went away from it. Like no one wanted to see it. They tried to say that we didn't support it, which I think is a thing for us. We do need to support, you know, Black-owned businesses, Black-led things a little more, just a little bit. But I didn't buy the whole we won't support it at all because whenever the movies came out, I saw us there, and it was packed. I remember when Tyler Perry finally did the movie A Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I remember who I was dating at the time. I went to the movies to go see it. The movie was packed. I remember that moment because it was big for him. It was big for all of us. The movie, honestly, that movie was good. As an adaptation from a play to a movie, I was like, "Oh, he doing this all right. It looks good. Good plot because we knew what the plot was. You know what I'm saying? It was engaging. I was like, the deal was stupid. It was good." And then it just, I don't know. Something's definitely happened. Something behind the scenes that we don't know of, or probably will never know of, what's going on. Something. You know, I see a resurgence, and that's good. But it definitely could be better. I actually watch a lot more. We call them B movies now, Black B movies, or Nigerian movies or whatnot. I find them funny. Heck, you know, I support them. I watch them. Potato is my favorite. I love it. But you know, but yeah, something.
So I can answer part of that. Okay, a part of it is because around that time period, all of the studios started coming together as conglomerations, and so what ended up happening was they were either only doing like low budget indie films or the big production type of movies. So all of the mid budget films got squeezed out, and that's where all the black people all the black people were. They were all in like that that middle ground area. And so that's why now people are complaining about the quality of film. It's because there is no money that's going towards those mid-budget films. It's starting to come back now because of streaming services like Netflix are putting some capital behind it. But that's part of the reason why. And so then what ended up happening was that because you don't have financiers able to put money behind those productions, it's like, well, there is no money to make those movies. And so all the black actors from that time period, they're still working because they actually have a catalog, they got experience, and they got us who are backing them, who will follow them wherever they go, but they're aging out. And so now it's like the people who should have been coming up behind them, they're not there. We're just now getting to the point where we have solid enough actors, black actors and actresses who can take their place, but you still, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but you still see that gap. So there's like the 20 somethings, and then you got the 50 plus crowd, like your Nia Longs and your Lorenz Tates of the world, Morris Chestnuts and all of them, but there's nobody in the middle. So it's just those two sectors. That's part of the reason why. And you probably saw it the most in TV because remember, we had UPN and we have Fox, and those were all the black shows were there. When UPN merged with WB and became CW, all of the black shows got cut. So it's like, okay, you made all your money off of the black people, but then as soon as you were able to get a little bit of coin, you don't need them anymore. And then they switched over to I think Vancouver, someplace in Canada. And so they switched over to like the teen model. So all of their shows were teen films or teen movies. And it was like nothing but white kids. And you'd have like one token black people, and that was it. But that's part of the reason why that ended up happening. So just my 2 cents on that.
Thank you, Doc. I was trying to, yeah. Thank you. I remember all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember all of this put in perspective. I remember everything you just said happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes, you took it out of my mouth. And the crazy part is those shows that went from specifically UPN, they were all doing good numbers.
They
I
were.
remember when Half and Half got canceled. It was one of its top shows in this time slot, but it was on UPN and they got rid of it. The only show that survived that was Girlfriends survived.
That's
and
true.
then
Barely.
The Game came in because there was a spinoff from Girlfriends. The rest of them, One-on-One, Half and Half. The Parkers got a proper season finale. I was happy about that. She shouldn't have married Ogilvy. That's not the conversation entirely. But it was the fact all that stuff went bye-bye. And the crazy part is that happened around 05, 06-ish. And then you see around 07, the wave of reality TV starts to come in.
That's true.
And that's where you see us.
True.
That's using the Real Housewives. Run DMC dude had a show. Like the little reality shows started to creep in slowly. And by 09, whenever you see us, we sitting with Andy talking about, this one said this and this one said that, and they got bullhorns, and the rest is history.
But that's because that writer strike happened. When the writer strike happened, it's like they needed something cheap to put on the TV. That's when you really saw a reality TV show blow up, and then they saw the numbers that it was doing. And it was like, well, F these TV shows. We don't need that. Put all of our money behind reality TV. Yeah.
We're going to have them fight, and we're going to record it. Easy
I love
money.
Flavor Flav. I know it's true.
I ain't gonna lie. I was entertained. I knew it was bad.
Flavor of love.
Oh,
I said earlier.
I
know this is bad. I know this is bad for me to watch, but I am watching it for the tomfoolery that they're putting out. And we just said it. We know right from wrong. We know this is bad. We see where this is leading to, and we walk right into it.
Mm.
And I was thoroughly entertained. New York, my favorite character. I am a fan of Tiffany Pollard.
Oh God!
I just am.
Yeah. To be fair, I think again, it goes back to that. Like I said, we needed more outlets, because even in UK we have trash TV with white folk in it. Okay, you ever seen Geordie Shore? You don't know about Geordie Shore? Geordie Shore is your equivalent. This is people from the north, bruv. They are reckless. All they film them doing is going out and drinking and getting smashed, having sex, fighting, bruv. All that stuff, the good stuff that we see on the black side, they have it too. The reality, the difference is they have a whole host of other shows. So Geordie Shore becomes what we call the guilty pleasure, and it's not a stain on the white community. It's like more like, oh, that's guilty pleasure. We watched that, that's guilty pleasure, yeah. and then you have other shows that go the complete opposite end, which, like, for instance, we have like a Made in Chelsea, which is Chelsea's a very rich area in London, and it's very posh people talking about their dating lives and all that kind of stuff, follow them around. So they have an array of different shows when it comes to the white community. So you don't have to get bogged down with the lack of choice. We have a lack of choice situation. This is the issue. We have a lack of choice situation. So it becomes very difficult now to detach that from our community like we do with white folk. With white folk, they have their trash TV. There's plenty of them. I don't know how Love and Lockup has managed to get a pass by, but it's still there. Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's got both black and white people in there, but it's got some white folk in there. Okay, so they have their trash TV, but they call it their guilty pleasure. It doesn't become this stain on the community because they have such an array of different other shows. That's what we need. We need a whole array of different other shows that gives us the option to say we're gonna opt out of this and we want to watch this, right? Because the whole narrative, the problem is that the focus becomes like we're talking about Christian Rock and Blueface. The whole narrative becomes Christian Rock and Blueface. Oh, is that what the black community is like? Rather it being no. That's a part of the black community. That ain't all of us. Like, you know, that's trash TV. So leave it where that is. It's trash TV. Just like y'all have your little Geordie Shore, whatever, right? So it's the problem in that aspect is that we don't have an array of different outlets to be able to combat that narrative that we already have, labeled against us. So it's getting those outlets as well, so we can have that. TP, shout out TP. Listen, I don't like everything he does, but he's doing his bit, and then you can't always agree what he does with every stereotype that he be bringing, but he at least gives us again one of those different outlets, and hopefully he gonna work up on that writing script, because at the moment I don't know if it's the actors or the writing, but I think it's the writing. It's trash. Writing. Okay, it's trash, and it's not even trash like it's like, oh my god, it's bad. It's like, yo, bro, bad.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah, it's. I don't watch his shows because it's the same thing every time. There's no point. Did you ever, y'all remember that video he did? This is maybe a year or two ago, where he filmed his table and he had scripts for all of his shows on the table. Just got done writing all my shows. You remember which one I'm talking about? He's like, just got done writing all my shows. I'm so happy with myself. Everything is out. And I remember thinking to myself, so this is why your stuff is trash. It's just you writing. There should be no possible way for you to write on your own 12 different scripts.
It's too fast.
Yes, he doesn't have to pay writers if he does that. It saves him money and he stays rich.
Right, but it's just your voice, and your voice is limited. I'm sorry, sir. Your voice is limited. I want to hear from you, and I'm super happy that you have your studio. I think he really shines when it comes to like the studio side of it, when it comes to production. He's great in that role. Stick to your ministry, okay? Do that and help other Black people, bring some writers in who know what they're doing, who can be directors. We got them now, so you can be a pipeline.
I agree with you. I'm not sure if y'all know of this show. There's a show on BET Plus called All the Queen's Men. It is based off of a book by Christian Keys, who's an actor. He did the stories, and then he went on to do some Tyler Perry stuff, and then he went to some other stuff. Anyway, he wrote a book. He put out a show. The show was produced by Tyler in the first season, but the first season, Christian wrote the show. Show has Eva Marcille from America's Next Top Model. She does the acting and everything. She's one of the main characters. The first season was phenomenally done. It had just the right amount of grit, just the right amount of trash, but then a good amount of heart in it. It was really well done. The second season, Tyler started writing. I still watch the show. Kojo, babe. I still watch the show because I'm loyal. However, you could see the difference in the tone, which started writing, and everybody is just like, and you can see it on Twitter when the show was on and people tweet about it. They like, I liked it better when Christian was writing. I'm still gonna support because you know I ride with the characters, but Christian, take the pen back. It's like this is not. And Christian's on the show, you know, he gets producer credit on it, executive producer, because it's based off his book. So he's still getting his money, but he's not doing the writing. And I'm like, Christian, please come back and get that pen. Because Tyler he's spread a little thin right now. We need you to get that pen back. we need the pen to come on. I love Tyler. I respect his work, but I feel like he's gotten a bit comfortable. That's the best way I can word it.
Yeah.
The thing with Tyler is, sorry, Danielle. The thing with Tyler, I think, is the biggest issue is that his representation has become the problem within. No, his representation is what white folk are willing to allow, and what I mean by that is, it's like, no, you got one in the door. That's all you need. Okay, you only need to say where you at, have that one, and that's what we want to see. It's like, do you know what I mean? And the biggest problem is, like you said, is him not getting out the way. So it's with him not getting out the way, he may be thinking he's saving us, but at the time, he's, like you said, he's stretched so thin that it's actually pulling the quality down. And I keep saying this, it's not we said the same about Creed. We're looking for legacy building, right? So we want quality stories that stand the test of time. Some of TP's work, we're gonna laugh about it in about 40 years' time, but we're gonna laugh at it. You know, like this is comedy, but it shouldn't have been funny. It should have been some great work that TP's done. Now we will commend him for the amount of work he's done, and I'm not gonna say he hasn't done great things for the community. What I'm saying is I need him to get out the way, because it's like some of the stuff is profitous. Some of the writing, you know, you're scared now. If you hear TP is about to get on script writing. If I'm an actor, I'm about to jump off. I'm like, yo, at this point, let me jump off, because you about to take us all the way left. Everything becomes comical. Everything becomes wildly, I should say, bold, beautiful, and wild. It's like everything becomes past the reality grip script. It gets into more, yes, it becomes more fantastical. You know what I mean? Like, I think the biggest problem is because he's writing plays in a form version of a TV show. And I think if it's a play, it always works. TP is a playwright. Like, I would go to all his plays because it's made for plays, but it's not made for TV. And so for me, I would hope that TP would just, you know what? TP, get some writers in. Okay, step aside, let some of these writers get in. Like, I remember I was listening to, this is my last point, I was listening to the DeVale and Kadeen interview, and when he said, obviously, he was doing the scene with Lucy, his co-host Fatima, when he said that Tyler Perry was in the room, I was like, how is Tyler Perry in the room? This guy has how many shows? Why is he in the room for Sisters? Like, you got Bruh, you got Sisters, you got what other shows has this guy got? He's got so many different shows. Why is he in the? You know what I mean?
He's a studio head.
Like, how many shows have you got? Like, why are you in the studio? Let somebody else write the stuff, because you are you're snuffing and suffocating. You are a boyfriend that don't want to let his girlfriend go out anywhere. You're suffocating. Let the girl breathe. Okay, you know what I mean?
Control freak. He's a control freak. It's hard for him to let go. Yeah. He literally has to feel like, I'm in control of this. If I'm not doing it, it won't be right. That's his mentality. He's always been that way. He just can't let go. Just can't. So it's going to be an issue for a while until he gets in his head. Like, all right, I need to delegate some of this stuff. Trust a team of writers to take this show. Trust this team of writers to take this show. Or heck, trust a showrunner. Get a showrunner for some of these shows that you trust. Yeah, you trained yourself. I know you got some.
I don't know if I want this training. I don't know if I want to train. I'm sorry.
You may have a point. You may have a point.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
When we talk about a previous statement. You can't have a previous statement. Yeah, that's to the point. He just can't let go. He's just too. His hands has to be in it. He feels like if my hands not in it, it's just not gonna be right. And he's always been that way though. So
the funny part is though the fantastical writing. I feel like his first couple of shows, when I said I mean House of Pain and Meet the Browns, the writing, especially OG House of Pain, not new House of Pain,
was wavy.
OG House of Pain was perfect. When it was a comedy episode, you laughed the whole time. But when it was serious, you be in tears. You be yelling at the TV. Miranda, I wanted to put hands on Miranda a couple times. The House of Pain was top tier television. Meet the Browns was good. It wasn't as good as House of Pain per se. A little more on the comedy side, but it was still very good. And then I don't know if I should say that. They might knock me off this internet. I feel like when he went over to OWN, that's when things changed. I'll just put it that way.
You can say it.
I don't want to get knocked off the internet. I know how they are about Oprah on this internet.
Oh no! Like say what you're gonna say, sis.
It shifted a bit. I'm like, there was a couple of good shows he had on OWN. You know, he had the show with the couple from Why Did I Get Married? That was good. He had the Love Thy Neighbor.
Oh yeah.
After that though, his comedy shows were still good. His drama shows got a hot mess on OWN.
Yes.
I remember the fake scandal show that everybody was like, "What is you doing?" That lasted once. It was a fake scandal show. I remember when
Which show was that one?
It was some show about some fictional legacy with the president scandal. Low class.
Well, Oval. I thought it was still going. Is it not still going?
Oval.
Isn't it on BET now?
No, that's a different one. There was one he did the first time, and it lasted one season. One. It was giving scandal on Zeus Network. I said no. I said this is not it. Take it back. Give me Olivia Fitz. Take this back. We don't want it.
TP will go down as a legend no matter what.
Yes, he will. I still love him.
He's done so much, but he gonna have to let go. Sorry, Darlie. What did you want to say? Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say that I think his problem is kind of similar to Black people in general. The problem is we have such a chokehold on the vision and how it's supposed to go, and we won't just allow for it to breathe and stretch a little bit. And it reminds me, Culture, you were talking about you were talking about how we really don't have that many avenues. I felt the same way about gospel music for a while. I got really tired of listening to gospel music. It's like, I don't want to listen to Kirk Franklin anymore. I love you, Kirk. I love you, Fred Hammond.
But it ain't doing it.
I'm tired. Right. But that's because I didn't know I had options. I went on Spotify and I was like, listen, y'all gonna have to give me something. I discovered Afro Christian music. I'm never going back. They have there's so many different genres. It's usually Afro because I need that beat, but there's EDM. There's Christian pop. They got dance music now. You can dance to the Lord. I was like, what? There's so many options. And I think that if Black people could just if we could just understand, just stretch ourselves so we don't have to feel like, oh, it has to look like this all the time. You know what I mean? Like what we did in the 90s was great. What we had in the early 2000s was great, but it's 2023 now, y'all. Like we can do other stuff too, and it can be great. Issa Rae, she gave you something different. I mean, beautiful. You have so many. What's that girl? Quinta Brunson. She's doing something now with Abbott Elementary. That show is funny, but it's like you can stretch yourself and do something different, and it can be good, and it can still be part of the Black community. But you have to actually support it. So that was it. That was my only point.
Insecure started on YouTube though, didn't it? So
yeah,
started on YouTube. Yeah,
Aqua Girl. Aqua Black Girl. Something like that.
Black Girl. I saw it on
Awkward Black Girl. So she wasn't even like the regular Black Girl. See.
Listen, it can work. Go for it, Amber. Yeah, go for it.
I will say this though. One thing I love how you brought up Issa and you brought up Abbott Elementary Quinta. I just started watching Abbott Elementary. I'm gonna have to do a binge session to fully catch up. But I love it so far. It's giving top tier. But with that being said, I feel like coming back to us, I feel like once again, they might not like me when I say this. I feel like one thing holding us back as Black women and men, Black culture, is that It's a small sense of entitlement. And when I say that, what I mean is this. You look at Quinta and you look at Issa. We're going to use two Black women for examples. They brought to HBO and to ABC something that was excellent. They did not bring them something mid and feel that because they're Black and they're women, you have to give me a shot because you owe me because of XYZ. They brought them something excellent where there probably was a bidding wars for those shows when they got hold of the scripts and stuff. Different networks were most likely trying to get a hold of them because it was excellent. It was something that really any race of people in an interesting way could be characters on the show. They just happened to be Black. It was something everybody could relate to. It was things people could, and of course there were Black elements, but it wasn't just urban or hood or this, that, and the third. It was done in an area of excellence, similar to Malcolm D. Lee with Best Man. Anybody could have played the Best Man characters. They just happened to be Black because it was done in excellence. I feel like we bring stuff sometimes, our current culture, it's the entitlement factor that, y'all have done this and that, and as a result, you owe me this and that. As much as I hear you, don't nobody really owe you nothing. If it ain't good, you need to go back to the drawing board and fix that junk up and bring it back once you got it straight. Like, don't stop bringing this mid stuff and thinking because you this and that, somebody has to give you a chance. The work don't work that way, boo. Like, if it ain't it, it ain't it.
That's literally my thought process. I think, especially in 2023, the difference between now and civil rights days, we do have other ways to get your content out. If we're talking about great movies, great TV shows, it may take a little bit longer and maybe even hard to do, but it's never been easy because people trying to get Black films into the big screen was never easy in the first place. So but like we're giving an example of Issa Rae's particular thing. Sometimes you have to choose another option in order to, like you said, not be entitled, like, oh, I expect my thing to be on the big screen, when there should be some good work foundation laid down. When you've got something like YouTube, you've got other sites out there that you can host, your content with, and I always say this to my sister, like, and I was saying to my brother, like, this is your YouTube. I'm giving YouTube as an example. It can be like your catalog, it's your catalog of work that you've done. So yes, you may not be able to quit your work straight away and go straight into directing a major movie. But if you start doing your own thing on YouTube, there's so many, and listen, on YouTube, there is so many great little short, like, or TV little series that they do on YouTube, that are out there. And, one day they could be picked up, maybe they won't be picked up, but it's part of your catalog. And I think we can also enjoy those particular aspects as well. So it doesn't have to be on a big screen. But if you want to make something yourself, there is some work that is needed, which is why your word, which we said earlier on, excellence is needed, which I'm saying to some of these Christian people, please, we want to see some excellence. Okay. Let Jesus be praised and excellence. Okay. All right. Ask Daniel. Okay. Daniel was fighting on a basis of excellence. Okay, they said not pray. He said, all right, cool. I'm gonna still pray, but I'm gonna still give you some excellence. Because no one can fight that. You know what I mean? No one can really fight that. If it's excellent, no one can really fight that. If you're the fastest in the gym, no one can fight that, no matter how Black you are. But yeah, so again, that's not saying there aren't factors that are stopping that, but I'm saying I think we do need to focus more on producing excellent pieces of work. And if that means taking a little bit longer, fantastic. Why not?
But you know what, Coach Joe, this still goes back to what I was saying before about support. It's going to be really hard for people like that, especially when you're operating on a micro level, to do that kind of work if they don't have people supporting them. I think that for Black people, as much as we complain about certain things, especially when it comes to stuff like rap, there actually are good rappers who are not exploiting the culture. They're not exploiting their bodies. Especially when it comes to like the female rap space, people like Rhapsody. There are women rappers like that who are really good, but they're not the Cardi B's of the world. Love Cardi, but I mean, she's just like every other female rapper out there. But there are some who aren't like that. They get no love. They get no respect. They get no money. They get no support. So it's like, how can they keep going forwards and doing the work if their own are not supporting them? This is why I was saying, like, we're going to have to be better about that, because at the end of the day, we have the power and agency. All this complaining, it's like, at some point, when is it going to be you? It's in your hands.
What if though you're not made to be national? What if you're only a regional rapper? Yeah, you know, there's a scripture that always comes to mind where it talks about the water coming from the ankles to the waist to the chest. And it always, I remember someone explaining it, just kind of they gave their metaphor of that scripture or explanation of it. And the explanation was like, not everyone is meant to be at international level. Some of us are meant to be regional, and we're not happy to be regional because we expect to be global. But the reality is, you might not be global. You may only ever be regional. But then we have to look at how do we produce avenues or channels so that we can funnel people to those things. So like you're still saying, Dolly, I agree with you. How then do we funnel people to, because the issue necessarily isn't support, it's the fact there's exposure. We don't know them.
Yes.
I don't know they exist. Do you know what I mean? But there's one rapper, I'm on TikTok. TikTok's a really good thing. It exposes a lot of people. On TikTok, there's this rapper, and I can't remember his name now. And I've never heard of him. But I saw, whenever I see his TikTok, he's got sold out shows. That's who the frick is this? Who is he? I don't know who he is, but he's every time in the TikTok video, sold out show and his music's good. I said, but I have no clue who he is. And then you start to realize some of us need to be comfortable knowing that you're not global. You are regional. You're international. You're national. You know, and that may be it. But like you said, the key thing is maybe our next step then is to find ways to expose those levels so that so people can actually have access to them. You know what I mean? It's like when people like a B movie. You know, not everyone likes an A. Some people like B movies. Some people like
I love a B movie.
You know what I mean? Some of us like a little B movie. I like a little. I used to love my old school Mollywood. Boy, that film would be so bad but so good. You know, the special effects would be so trash, but the film would be so amazing. Like you would enjoy. I'm telling you, they would shoot a gun and the gun will fly around the whole world and come and hit somebody. Like you would be entertained. I'm telling you, because it's the rawness, it's the authenticness, it's what's selling this product. And sometimes, you know what, when we say excellence, sometimes it's not about having the most money. All of us can testify to watching a film and they spend so much money and it's just trash. So you spend all that money. The reality is we want to see good quality content that connects with the people. So are people working on their craft? That's the question. And so that we can, you know, put it, you know what, your gifts and talents will put you before kings and queens. And sometimes those kings and queens aren't always Hollywood. You know what I mean? I have to be okay with that. I'm not on KSI and Paul Logan's subscriber list. They have how many millions of people? I'm not on that level. But does that mean I stop doing what I do excellently and do it quality? No, I should still do what I do. And I have my people that I have to speak to. And they have their people they have to speak to. So sometimes we have to be okay, but I agree. We need to be maybe looking at exposing to access these people. You know what I mean? Some people, you know what I mean? Yeah, maybe that's
a good point.
That is a good point. And actually, if one thing is, now once again, this is my church girl coming out. The Bible states, if you are, it's my church girl coming out, it's true. If you are faithful with a few things, I'll make you ruler over many. If you show that excellence on quote unquote the B level, there could possibly be somebody that will see you and try and elevate that to make it go. I know there were the two brothers, I forget their name right now. They are Caucasian men, they're Christian. They made some Christian movies. Facing the Giants was one. It was a movie that went like straight to video, did very, very well, became very popular, cult following, and they kept doing movies. And then they got an offer to do a movie for a theatrical release called War Room. I remember when War Room dropped, and I had already became familiar with them because Facing the Giants is one of my favorite movies. And I remember War Room took the #1 spot its second week in the box office. This is a Christian movie on a tiny budget, with a pastor being one of the lead actresses, Priscilla Shire. And it took the #1 spot. Wow. So it's the fact of, if you handle your business on that lower level, a lot of times somebody will notice and give you that chance, but you won't get that chance if you're not prepared, you're not already handling your business.
You know, this actually this makes me think of the conversation, Kojo, that you were having with the men on Sunday. we were discussing in the chat. It was Felicia Cooper and it was somebody else, and I apologize because I don't remember her name. But the other woman, she had brought up how on that you guys were talking about entertainers, like athletes and stuff, and how we only, in the Black community, we really only focus on those fields, but we don't really think about how they don't even make the most amount of money. And so in the chat, we were talking about how we're not exposed to that. I went to mostly Black schools, just like you did. So when there was no career day. Let me just say that. I was going to say when career day came around, but wasn't no career day.
Day off.
There was nothing. Everybody was at work. Nobody could take time off to come talk about their career. Like no one's gonna talk about being an insurance agent or a bus driver. You don't want to hear about that. So I didn't even know that there were options for me until after college. And then it's like, oh snap, they have all these different kinds of careers. I had no clue. And we were saying how the people who are making that kind of money, they don't go back to the elementary schools and middle schools to talk about, here are your options. Like, here's what I do. I make money, good money doing this, and it's stable. And you're not going to blow out your knee and then ruin your whole life because somebody tackled you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that when you're talking about putting out excellent work, I think part of that is the support that comes from the time that you were a kid. That exposure, the exposure that you get from knowing you've got options and that you have people behind you who are willing to invest into you and pour into you, so that way you can really develop the skills and the gifts that God gave you, and then go out and do the work that you're talking about. And that's on our side. That's the work that we have to be doing as adults. That's our responsibility to younger Black people, is doing that for them.
That's very true. I think once again, I keep saying stuff that might get me canceled. Okay, we're gonna step out of the to Dahlia's point, I feel like her mentioning the fact of we always look at the entertainers and stuff. I feel like as a community, that comes back to us needing to change our mindset. And I'll explain what I mean. It's the fact of, it seems like we as a community, we seem like and I'm speaking in general terms, so nobody please say that ain't how, I'm not saying you. It seems like we are attracted a lot of times to the glitz and the glamour. And I feel like that comes to issues maybe we have with ourselves, insecurities in our community, of us not feeling seen, not feeling heard, feeling overlooked, oppressed, etc., etc. You know, if I have this position, this glitz, this glamour, everybody know my name, I'm gonna be set. Then we find out through these biopics and these miniseries that these people that we all knew their name was broker than we were, coming home to $1 and some change on the check, and going through all this foolishness and the pains of fame. And it's like, well, maybe that's not as good as I thought it was. Let me take my little check, my $65,000 a year, and we gonna try to buy these eggs, and we gonna be okay. But you're only able to come to that place, I feel like, if you come to a place where you no longer, it's not about impressing people. I have had to deal with that myself. The fact of, you know what? If you don't like what's going on, I really don't care no more. This is me trying to get stuff straight for me. What everybody else think, oh well. You have no heaven or hell to put me in. This is me getting stuff straight for me. But I feel like as a community, we haven't come to that yet. I feel like we're still trying to, in a way, kind of get our 40 acres and a mule. We're still trying to get, to a place where we're seen and we're heard, through social media and other avenues, and I feel like it's becoming a bit of chaos just because we have not changed our mindset. We're still trying to prove that we're better than our fellow brother and sister. We still trying to prove ourselves a little bit to massa. It's a lot of mindset changing that needs to take place.
Mm-hmm. It's real right now. Definitely here. Someone said our trauma causes us to desire escapism.
Yeah, but that's not a good excuse, though. It's the fact of, at the end of the day, you re-traumatize yourself by not changing that mindset, and you're probably going to traumatize somebody else because you ain't dealt with yourself yet.
Well, tell us how you really feel, girl. Dang.
It starts with self. I said it on Sunday. It starts with yourself. Always start with yourself. We want to sit here and blame everything, and this is the reason why I know it's because of this, and we don't even look at ourselves first. What have I done to make my life better? What have I done? Heck, what, even asking the hard question, what have I done to cause this turmoil in my life to put me back in 2023? And try to fix that instead of looking for handouts and looking for anybody else to blame. You know, kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's a bunch of eyes, but until when the blame has to be put on yourself, oh no, it's them, not me. What happened to the eye? Didn't even think about the eye. I need this. I want this. Well, what did you do? Oh no, that's not my fault. It's them over there. I was like, it doesn't compute for me. Like, no, what did you do first?
Yeah.
Or are you just sitting here complaining about things? Which a lot of people do. A lot of complainers, not a lot of doers.
Yeah, Trey, I think that you just kind of hit a pain point for Black people, because we're at this really weird what's the word I want to say? It's a weird dichotomy, because yes, we have technology reality that slavery really effed us up. Like it's just this gaping wound that every time that we try to heal, it's like some white person comes around and just like reopens the wound all over again. So we can, like, it just never gets a chance to heal. That's real. Racism is real. The stuff that's been done to us over the last few centuries, and not just American Blacks, but also just across the entire diaspora, that's real. Right? Like, we can't sit there and ignore that. But then to your point, it's like, we also can't act like it's all on external factors too. There's also us, the individual. I mean, at some point, we do have to take ownership over our own particular lives. Like, yes, the cops are terrible people, but also, you didn't have to go hold up that liquor store. You didn't have to do that. Like, I mean, you did that. No one held a gun to your head and told you that you had to go rob the Korean convenience store and then F up the relations between us. Like, no, you didn't have to do that. So it's a weird tension. I don't know how to I really don't know how to address that. I just wanted to kind of point that out, that it's there and it's present, and I think that that's something that we're actively fighting with right now. Your point, Trey, if you had said that on some other channel, they probably would call you like a Black conservative, and then like laugh you off of the channel, and then call you like a Candace Owens talking head or something like that, because she'll say the same thing and she's right, but she also, Candace Owens is problematic, but on this point, she has one point I will give her. So
one.
yeah,
That's it. Just one.
Just that one. I'll give her that one. That's it. And she has fashions. I'll give her that. She'll be looking real cute while she's talking her nonsense. That's it.
Ooh, baby. Oh boy. You know what? I think, you know what's interesting as well. I think I think sometimes as well it's hard, because making a change is not easy. You know what I mean? Sometimes, even with the information there, having to pick it up and read it can be difficult for some people as well, when they can't see the immediate effect of it. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes I'll be on the internet and I'll see a video about how to make more money. I'll be looking at it like, I'm gonna have to read again. Let's watch something else, man. Let's watch something entertaining. So learning sometimes isn't always the most funnest thing to do, because oftentimes the effect of it isn't immediately felt. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always immediate impacts that you see the results of that education, and that's the difficult thing as well about it. And that goes back to that fast money situation again in our society, where people want a quick buck rather than taking the time to build upon the foundations of what you've learned and what you've understood and what's your talent, what's your gift. Oftentimes people just want to be able to make fast money, and sometimes it's hard to be in a place where you sit, soak, and then you go out. It can be very difficult. Actually, the same principle actually exists within a Christian kingdom. If I'm honest with you, a lot of these principles are Christian principles. You're supposed to sit at the feet, soak up, and then go out. That's how it's actually meant to be. And similar with when it comes to, you know, in our vocational career space, you're supposed to soak up. This is what we go to school for. We soak up for the 18, 21, 20 to 23 years. You soak up and then you go out. And you're supposed to take whatever knowledge you get and apply it into the world that you see, from your perspective. And it's something that's not often spoken about, you know, as well, in a particular way. It's often spoken about in a more, everyone's got a dream, everyone's got this, everyone's got that. It's like, reality is that, you know what, you're right, we do all have a dream, but reality is you're supposed to soak, you're supposed to take in, and then you're supposed to see the world through your particular perception and lens, through understanding that how best can I serve the world? Because even entertainers are serving us, they're serving us entertainment. You know, the best entertainers know how best to elicit your emotions. This is why they're so good. You know, we talk about Jennifer Majors today. And, you know, we said how great he is. He's the sole reason why I'm going to watch Creed 3 again. Other than that, I ain't watching it again. But it's because he's so good at what he does. So everyone has to, for us not to be held back, we have to study what we're doing. We have to soak up the information and the knowledge and understanding of what we're doing. And there's a right, I think you guys, ladies, said it as well. There's a time and season where the door opens and you're prepared to walk through it because you have soaked and taken in what you need to, you know? So yeah, go for it, Dahlia.
No, the only point that I was going to make was that, man, I think that I think we as a community have a problem with delayed gratification. And when I say we, I'm speaking of myself. That's something I'm actively working on as well. Because when you talk about how we want to get stuff done quickly, that's an issue of delayed gratification. And I think part of that is not our fault. I know I'm about to go back on what I just said. I think part of that is not our fault because it's like we tried to do it the right way. And we would, like, right after, during the Reconstruction period, right after slavery, we had these amazing cities. We had like our own little villages and stuff. We had our own towns, and they were thriving. And literally, every time that we would get somewhere, white folks would come through and sometimes literally bomb them. I live in Houston, so some of the districts that used to be Black owned and operated, they literally put highways in the middle of it. So if you just broke up whatever wealth that we did have, where you could actually see people thriving and doing well. So it's like you were intentionally going out of your way to make it so difficult for us. And this is why I have a problem with other communities. And I'm sorry, Africans as well, coming through, trying to compare us to them. No. Our experience is not the same. It's not.
I agree.
But anyways, to that point, I do think that it had like a cultural wide effect on us, trauma-wise, in the idea of delayed gratification. It's like, why would I go and invest into my community and take my time and really pour into it when I'm gonna get screwed over again? I understand that, but even with all of that, we still have to do it. It's just the reality of the situation. These are the cards that we're dealt with. That's gonna be a hard hill to climb over, though. Is wrapping your head around that is just, unfortunately, you are the whipping boy. We are the whipping boy, and we just got to eat that. It's not fair and it's not right, but it is what it is. And we still have to be able to delay gratification to get what we want, not just for ourselves, but for future generations too.
Links, welcome to the convo, bro. It's good to see you.
What's going on, Kojo? How you doing, man? Long time.
Long time indeed, sir. We're good, man. Yeah. We're just talking about what's holding the black men and black women back in 2023. I'm sure you've heard part of the conversation. What's your contribution, sir? What's your thoughts?
Kind of along the lines of what Dahlia is saying. It's funny because I was having a conversation actually with some coworkers about this earlier, and just kind of backtracking what you were saying as far as it boggles my mind as us as enslaved people here in the Americas came out of slavery. And as Dahlia said, we had all of these communities from, Black Wall Street to Greenwood, uh, all over the country. And then, we've gone through the destruction of it. You can actually Google Red Summer, and it will talk about the years of the destruction of our communities. Um, but saying that, we've always been a people of resilience. We've been resilient through a myriad of different things, and what has concerned me, um, in the culture that we live in now, we have become uh, comfort is probably is paramount to us than anything else. It stood out to me more so than any time during the pandemic. And one of the things that I saw is when we were in the pandemic and we were just in the beginning of it. I had to make a run to Walmart to pick up, whatever things. And I'm driving to Walmart and I'm seeing lines for the drive-through to Dairy Queen and all these other different places, folks looking for some type of comfort. And as far as us as a people, I think that we have, we're enamored with comfort, we're intoxicated with comfort, and we don't want to. Was it Frederick Douglass that said, without a struggle, there's no progress. And I think that we've lost that part of our resiliency, that we don't want to fight. We don't want to put in that labor to make the change. And it's sad. It's a real sad situation to me. So
I appreciate it, Links. Yeah, I definitely hear you on that. And I think, you ever get to a point where you're just tired of fighting? Sometimes you just get to a point where you're tired of fighting. I think that's partly where we're at. It's like we've got it good. We got some niceties here. Why mess it up? I think we are in that space. I think we're in what we call a plateau space where it's, we're kind of chugging along, a comfortable, like you said, being comfortable. And the next step is to push forward. But that also then, if we're pushing forward, does begin to elicit the fight from the other side. But go for it, Links. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying.
No. I would say what piggybacks with that comfort is selfishness. And the reason I say that, because I'm looking at generations prior. The stuff that they fought for, they knew they were not going to see it. Many of the times in their lifetime, they weren't going to see it, and we don't have that. We don't have that that vision, or to see what is ahead. We're all about our self-aggrandizement and what we can loft on ourselves. And until we can get back to that place of, okay, if I don't see it, my children will see it, and my children's children will see it. We don't have that. We're just in this place of comfort and selfishness. I think, are two bedfellows that enjoy each other very much so.
I'm with you on that. Yes, Dahlia.
I didn't even say anything. How did you know that I wanted to speak?
I sensed it. Go
on. Yeah, Links, you speaking my language right now. This is something that I personally have been struggling with for a long time, is the idea of comfort and selfishness versus productivity and purpose. We'll put it like that, because you can't serve two masters, right? Like I want to sit in comfort because I got a nice little spot where I'm at, but it's like to get to where God wants me to be, I know it's going to be uncomfortable and there's going to be pain, at least in the short term. There's going to be some level of pain. And it's like, who wants to deal with that? I want to deal with that. So I have an immense amount of empathy and grace for our culture, because I understand that we just left decades worth of pain trying to get to where we are right now. Like, all of our leaders who helped us get here are dead, and they didn't die peaceful deaths, right? So I understand that. Like, that's a traumatic memory that's still in our head, even if we don't really talk about it like that. It's still present, I think. And then all the ones who did make it, like Al Sharpton, I mean, you know, they're getting older. They're not gonna make it much longer. And it's like, we don't really have anybody to kind of like, for them to pass the baton to. I mean, yeah, you have Barack Obama, but I mean, anywho,
Is what it is.
It is what it is. So, but anyway, I'm saying all that to say, though, I understand that it's really difficult to kind of wrap your head around the idea of just like living in discomfort. And I think, to the question that you were asking before, Kojo, with the overall question about, you know, what is it that we need to, or what's holding us back, it is that shared vision that we used to have. I don't know what that's going to look like now, because we kind of got to where we wanted to be from the original civil rights movement. We did kind of get what we wanted, at least in the short term. But I think long term, I don't know if we did, but I also don't know that we have actually agreed upon what that vision will look like. What's that shared goal that hold us together and will keep us going? China has that. China has 100 years plan. I don't know if y'all know that or not. They have 100 years plan that they're operating in right now. They're not the only ones, by the way. There's many other nations who are collectivists in nature who operate as a unit. They're in lockstep, and it's everybody's on board. And I think that I think that the UK and America, especially because we're so highly individualistic, it's very hard for us to be able to get on the same page. That's not how we are born and raised. That's anathema to us. And so in order for us to be able to get what we want, we would have to basically forego our operating system as we know it and do something entirely different, and figure out a shared vision for each other. So, yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Amber. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with Dahlia, and I'm gonna disagree with her a little bit at the same time. I promise it's gonna make sense.
Okay.
I promise. Okay, so, and I wasn't gonna mention this, but then she mentioned Barack Obama. I said, well, thank you, God, for the confirmation. I can't say what I'm thinking without people getting too offended. I feel like one of the things when Link spoke on being comfortable, I feel like we as Black people, and that's in general, I feel like and let me say this, I have met Barack and Michelle Obama in person. I have all the respect for them. I do, however, feel like the election of Barack Obama allowed Black people to get very comfortable and put our guards down. And I'll explain what I mean. I remember when he was elected in 2008 the first time, and how there was so much talk of how it was so historical and how things were going to change and yada, yada, yada. And there was this conversation basically of how people felt like racism was going to kind of disappear. And as you saw him go into the White House, it did not disappear, because you saw he experienced it. His wife experienced it. They experienced it even while he was running. I remember them making comments about Michelle. I remember the cartoons of her with the afro and the Black Panther outfit. It was a lot going on. And things, I feel like, got a little bit calm among the regular citizens for a little while. And then it seems like once you saw Barack go out and then you saw the other president come in, it feels like people's real feelings of what they have really been wanting to say, really have been wanting to do, you saw all that kind of come to the surface. And people like, we went backwards. And I'm like, no, I think nothing really changed. People just learned how to keep it quiet, because they didn't want to be deemed rude. They didn't want to be, you know, the quote unquote woke term started coming into circulation, and nobody wanted to ruffle the feathers out of respect for the chief, which is the president. However, now that that's not the case, it's the fact of, you see, nothing really has changed per se. And I feel like because we let our guard down as a community, thinking one man could change hundreds of years of a system built on racism, and not only built on racism, but has thrived due to racism, I feel like now it's like, okay, everybody's just doing what they want, because people are like, well, if nothing's changed, then what's the point? And it's like, unfortunately, things ain't gonna change overnight. And when something is in the foundation of something, it's going to be very hard to get it out. I don't know about the UK, but in the US, we are rooted in racism. The system has thrived
Oh, they
off
got it.
of racism. The Proud Family, the episode talking about slaves built this country, and it caused an uproar on Twitter because people did not want to hear that, even though it's facts. Like it's a bigger issue than one man can solve. And I feel like we let our guards down. We got comfortable. Oh, Barack got it. No, Barack deals with it like everybody else. I'll let anybody take it.
So okay. So let me ask this question then, because and I may get crucified for this, because you know we have these conversations and we talk about all the stuff that has happened to us. So at this point, so what so I my mindset has been on for the few years solutions, and we know the thing is we know solutions, and I've come to the realization that in our community, unfortunately, we all aren't going to get there. So I've come to this is my personal realization that I'm trying to find people who are like-minded, and let me build with those people who are like-minded, and go from there and build and see what and try and replicate that, and then multiply that and multiply that. It's gotten to the point of I've even discussed arranged marriages, for my kids, in the sense of, I know this family, I'm not talking about like, real true traditional, East Indian, arranged marriages, but in the sense of, families, the stock of the families, the character, so on and so forth. Do that, get families. Maybe we go in and we start buying up houses in the neighborhood. We all live in that neighborhood, things of that sort. I'm just wondering, is there a way that can we get to that point? Can we actually do this stuff? We saw the George Floyd stuff. We saw what happened. We saw the worldwide uproar from it. I saw that we had some momentum, but I'm like, when can we get some sustained momentum and really work towards some true solutions, instead of talking about, what I'm tired of. I'm tired of talking. That's that's really what I'm tired of. I'm tired of talking. I want to see some actual solutions. To quote, was it one of the quotes from New Jack City? Money talks, BS runs the marathon. So I'm at that point in my life now. I don't want to talk anymore. I want to just put some action behind my words and try and make it happen.
Honestly, and I might get crucified for this one myself. I feel like we kind of got to develop a bit of a Harriet Tubman mentality. I'm doing what I can. I can't make everybody come with me, and I say that because, speaking back to being comfortable, I feel like we have moved further as a culture, but I feel like we do not appreciate what we have gained. I feel like we don't appreciate it as much as we should. I feel like there's a bit of a ungratefulness about what people have sacrificed on our behalf. And I also feel like with that being comfortable, we have become a bit soft, a bit lazy. And I'm even talking to myself, fussing and complaining about what's wrong, what's this, what's that. But nobody wants to bring money to the Black communities. Nobody wants to try to talk to the cities to get grocery stores actually built in these communities instead of convenience stores. Nobody wants to invest in any schools. Nobody wants to get the Boys and Girls Clubs back going. Nobody wants to try to get some type of a arts program in the downtown areas. Nobody wants to do anything but build McDonald's, but bring in Asian and Chinese food stores and buy hair. Nobody wants to do anything to really get things going. And it's the I haven't seen the comedy special yet, but I'm gonna use Chris Rock's term. It's the selective outrage that becomes a bit annoying, because when we see somebody get brutalized, we all come together online for a minute. There normally are not many solutions, and it all goes to whatever. I remember, I forget exactly where it was. The gentleman that went into the church and shot up the Bible study. One of the people that were shot was actually the father of one of my high school teachers. I remember when it happened, her daughter, who I actually know personally, I went to school with two of her daughters. I know the older one because she would come around to school. She actually started the foundation in her grandfather's honor. That's doing something, trying to spread peace rather than just going online, saying what's wrong, saying what's this, saying what's that, and there's no action. There was action back in the day. You know why? Because they couldn't go on social media and complain. Nobody would hear that. They did what they had to do. Was it perfect? No, but it made progress. It didn't have to be perfect. We've made no progress because we are comfortable. We sitting, we tweeting, we fussing, and we think that just because we yelling at the top of our lungs online, using emojis and on YouTube, that's gonna make a big difference. They don't care about what we got to say, as long as we say it from the back.
Go for it, Trey. Thank you, Amber.
There's an undertone here that I've been hearing. Links brought it up twice in two different ways, and Dahlia expanded on it. Self-sacrifice. Our leaders back in the day, I think they knew full well what would probably happen to them if they keep pushing, trying to make it better for the rest of us. So it got me to thinking, like I was talking, and links actually got me riled up for a second. I was like, yeah, enough of this talking is just do something. You know, and it hit me. I started to think, and I kind of wanted to ask everyone here, what are we willing to self-sacrifice? I mean, seriously. Up to our lives, I'm asking, what are we willing to self-sacrifice if you knew that it would better your brothers and sisters around you? You know, it's at that point where we could talk all we want to. Now it's time to put the foot to the pavement. What we're gonna do? Let's do something. We make a plan. Cool, I'm with it. Now it's time to do it. What are we willing to self-sacrifice? Are you willing to put your life on it? You know. Now I'm gonna have a different. That is just me. I may have a different opinion on this because I birthed it this way. I've been a soldier all my life, so the idea of self-sacrifice is not new to me. It was a reality that you had to face if you knew you was going into combat. My life may be taken. It's what it is. For whatever reason, you may sacrifice it for your fellow soldiers. Do you actually believe in the fight? Whatever. It's something you have to face. So I don't want to sound cavalier about it, but I may be more cavalier than others about life, death, or whatnot, because you know they had to face it. So my answer may be more straightforward. Yeah, hey, give me the plan. Cool. Now let's execute. You know, need me to plan it out. Cool. Now let's execute. But the question is always going to come back to that. I always, even links brought it up, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you know, I love this talk. Every time I hear Dahlia speak, I'm just like, I like the way she put it. I like that. Yeah. You know, when Amber starts talking, I'm like, let's go. I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm hearing links when first. I think you've been up here before. I'm hearing links. I'm like, yes. I feel what he's feeling. When I hear Kojo speak, sometimes like, I'm glad someone is saying it. Someone at least is trying to talk about it and have the space for allow us to talk about it. So far, with this chapter, that's what I've thought when I see y'all faces. But then I come back to the question, all right, what are we really willing to do? There's a time we got to put up, shut up. What are we willing to do? It's just a question. I don't want to get too heavy, but hey, it was weighing on my mind for a second. I was like, this sounds real good. Now that's when you start seeing people who they really are. When you like, all right, let's go then. You gotta have your talkers. You gotta have the ones that probably got something in their back pocket just in case. Let's go there. Now you start to see who's gonna stand with you, who's gonna, gonna be on the other side. Hey, I got you from over here. Woo! But at some point in time, yeah, what we gonna do? Gotta do something. What we gonna do? How far are you willing to go?
I think that's where, our mindset has to change in the sense of moving from this selfishness mindset to a generational mindset. There's a quote that I'm trying to remember if I can remember it correctly. That it says, what one generation receives as seed, the next generation should receive as blossom, and the next generation should receive as fruit. Meaning there's progression. There should be some type of progression. So at this point, as I said, I'm like, okay, I'm at a point of talking. I'm done talking. So, all right, one of the big things that we know in our community is that's holding us back is economics. How many of us are, and here's a challenge to and this is a challenge even to myself. How many of us have really put an effort to spend money in our community or find products that are made by us, sourced by us, sold by us, and really, all right, well, I know I use X product all the time. Can I find a distributor? Can I find a seller in our community that sells this product and all right, so this month I'm going to start, instead of buying it from this big conglomerate, I'm going to start buying from somebody in my community, and then do that 1 month, and maybe the next month double that, and the next month triple that, and so on and so forth. And here's the thing: it's not just to do it, but to do it consistently. And start to do that. Start to support ourselves. Again, find like-minded people and start building with ourselves. As I said, I'm done talking. I'm done. I'm done. You know, I just want solutions now, and I think we know what to do. We know what to do. Let's come on. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. But I think the biggest thing is we have to get out of the me, myself, and I, mode. We are a people of community. That's who we are, and we have lost that, and we've got to get back into that place of community, common unity, and until we do that again, and make the little steps to do that, we were once there, and every generation we've moved off a degree and moved off a degree, moved off a degree, and now we see how far, left or right, whatever direction you want to say, but we've moved from that plumb line. We have gone, way off course. Let's get to it.
I love that Link said that, because I was thinking the same thing with self-sacrifice. At the end of the day, we are a very much a consumer society. It's all about the dollar and how that dollar works. As a Black community, if we could put our money together and support ourselves to show the power of our dollar, because as much as a lot of times, and I'm not saying this is not factual, but what I'm saying is that as much as a lot of times how it's presented in the media of us being in poverty, which some of us are, I'm not going to say that's not the case, we still have a lot of spending power. We need to look at the economics of it and the dollars of the situation. If you look back in civil rights, the Montgomery bus boycott, that lasted for 15 months, if I remember correctly. They did not take public transportation for over a year. They did carpools. They walked with each other. They made sure everybody was okay. The reason why they finally were able to sit where they wanted was not because the people agreed with it. It was because they realized how important the Black dollar was to the public transportation system. They were drying out the money. If we make a say-so with our money, we would actually get some change. Because at the end of the day, they don't care if it don't affect the money. If you're going to fuss about what we doing, but you still giving us money, we got no problem with that. Like I said, say what you want, but say it from the back. If you still paying me, I don't care what you say. Because guess what? I still got my money. I can live. You're not hurting me. We really have to try to, and this kind of goes to, I guess, the fact of getting some type of people in positions of power in our cities and stuff so that we can be able to get some people, Black people, be able to get some building permits. You know, when these places go up for sale, they can use it to open their businesses versus it going to somebody from a whole different community, a whole different ethnicity that knows nothing about us, cares nothing about us, maybe don't even like us, depending on the situation, but they know we'll spend money with them. But then it comes down to self-sacrifice for the fact of if you shop at a smaller business versus a Walmart, guess what? Walmart is a international business. It's going to be less expensive. You know why? Because they have the connections to get the exports cheaper and get stuff wholesale. That small business might not have that. I'm on my second small business, and guess what? I cannot charge you the same thing the big business charge you. You know why? Because I'm working out of my house, and it is me. And I have to survive just like you do. But then that comes down to self-sacrifice. Do you want to put money back in the community, or do you want to get 50% off?
That's a great point, Amber. Two things. My first point is just to give us a little bit of positivity here. I was thinking, are there any businesses that Black people actually do support that are Black owned? Yes, there are. And I think this is true for the UK as well. When it comes to hair, that's Black owned and operated. We're not going to Becky, okay? we're going to one of us to get our hair taken care of. Yeah, that's true, Amber. We're going to us. That's on the barber side. That's
okay.
Hair care products. We're pretty good about that. All the big name brands that we have right now that are places like Target and Walmart, they got their start as smaller operations where it was.
Yeah, but
really
they got bought out by white people.
True, but they were only able to do that because we were supporting them for a long time, and content creators on YouTube were spreading their business around. It wasn't like it was just them. We were supporting them. Restaurants, we're good about that. So there are like smaller proprietorships that are owned and operated like yourself, where it's just one person operating out of their house. I just bought some candles the other day from a Black lady. Honestly, the candles are all right. I really just did it because sister, I'm gonna help you out. I don't need the candle, but I'm $25. I didn't need that candle, but I'm gonna help you, okay? And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna buy some more too. But we do that. We will do that for each other. But to I think Link's point and to your point, yes, I do think that we can expand that model so that way we can support each other in such a way that you don't have to get bought out by a larger corporation and then like Shea Moisture end up, taking care of other people. So that's one point. The other point is to Trey's question. I'll be brutally honest with you, Trey. There's not much I'm ready to sacrifice right now. Just being dead honest. There's not much, but I recognize that. I'm very self-aware on this front, and so I'm at the stage now where I'm trying to soak up knowledge. I'm trying to prepare myself so I can be able to make those kind of sacrifices, get my mind right in such a way that I can do that. And when you were talking, it made me think about the NAACP, because they had that program in place too. Before they actually had them do protests, do sit-ins and that sort of thing, they did training for all the people involved, especially because they have like tons of college kids in high schools and stuff volunteering to do the protests. And they would do like mock sit-ins with them, and they would have people come in and like yell all kinds of slurs at them and push them around and shove them around so that way they could prep them to handle it, right? And they prepared them to be able to take that kind of abuse, but be able to like, you know, kind of like just not walk it off, but be able to withstand it and not veer off of the plan that they had in place. And nobody did, at least as far as I'm aware. Everybody was clear on the plan and they were able to follow through on that. And that shows a level of discipline and training and foresight that the leaders had, that I thought was really, really impressive. I never thought about that. I just assumed that they were going out to do it. But no, they were really planning this out for a long time before they just went out and did these protests. And I think Kojo, you brought this up about, you know, you sit and you soak knowledge at the mentor's feet before you go out and you do the thing. I think maybe that's the stage that that comes right before the doing. You have to have the knowing, you have to have some knowledge. And so I think maybe that's where we need to be right now, so we can prepare ourselves for the pain you're about to go through. Paul had to do the same thing right after he found Christ. He didn't just go out and start preaching. He went and he found the apostles, and he was with them for a period of time. I don't even know how long it was, but he was with them for at least several months before he was ready to go out and disciple others. And so I think maybe that's the stage that we need to be talking about right now, is to prepare our minds for that. And then we can go out and do what Links is saying, go out and do. Because you're right, we do know what to do. We just need to be able to prepare our mindset to do it.
And I think that's the key point. I think that's where our next conversation is at, whether maybe you're not ready to sacrifice in that end product, but if you're sacrificing the time to equip yourself with knowledge, then there's a time and season when the door opens where you're able to lay hold of what you're called to do. Because what we're talking about trying to produce is never going to happen on a scale, on a macro, without there being a micro first. So there needs to be everybody playing their particular role. This is actually similar to the kingdom of God. It's the same thing. You are called to a specific regiment, and you are called to a specific unit. You're supposed to do your job in that regiment and in that unit. What Links is talking about, I have no interest in doing retail. Like anything to do with estate agency, houses, I have no interest. Don't call me, don't message me, I don't care. Okay? All right? And maybe because my financial range at this moment is not even in that bracket to even talk about that conversation. What I'm ready to do at this moment is to counsel people in relationship areas. That's my unit and regiment. Okay. So I need to help those people. I need to help anybody who's willing to listen in that area. And we may cross paths in that area because there's going to be some overlap. I may need to buy some land, and Links will be like, bro, I can sort you out. I got you. Now you ready for that? I got you. Because I've done what I need to do on my end, and now I'm in a position, financially, quote unquote speaking, I can now go into where he's at. And similarly enough, at the same time, we can exchange and trade, because maybe he has some people that he knows that, hey, bro, listen, they want some counseling or whatever, or some coaching, blah, blah. Here's some people coming your way. But first and foremost, he can never, ever, ever, ever send people my way if I'm trash. It's just that simple. And there's too many people that are trash. And that's the reality of it. No. There is. A lot of us are trash. And you have to spend time on your craft. And it's so funny having this conversation, because it's the one thing I've been talking to God about. Like, God, what am I supposed to be doing right now in this season? And as I've been talking, I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to be learning. Like, my time is meant to be spent learning. Because as much as, like, for instance, you can see this YouTube, right? It gets to a stage where when God wants to take you to the next stage, you're supposed to soak up knowledge to take you to the next stage. Because you need to be able to have the understanding to be able to lay grapple of all that is up there for you. And God is not a person who likes to do business badly. He don't like putting you in rooms when you're not ready, because it exposes everybody. Do you understand? So, and I'm not saying that everyone has the same journey. Someone can do this and be sharp to the very top the next day. I may need to take a little bit longer. It depends on me and what God has put inside of me and what gifts and talents I have. But everybody needs to do what they're supposed to do. And that's what Links is kind of tying back into Links, and Dahlia and Amber and Trey are all saying everybody's got to kind of do what they're supposed to do in their regiment. When you start doing what you're supposed to do in your regiment and you start flourishing and you start bringing excellence to that space, it actually starts to lift up the people also within that space. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to have more men on this channel. And I was like, blood, how am I going to do that, blood? And then God was like, you be complaining, but you got a rod in your hand. Work with the 3 men you have on your channel. And I'd be like, but it's only 3 men. Like, what are you going to do with 3 men? Like, yo, you know what I mean? My audience is like 90% women. What am I going to do? And then just the other day, someone said it on the live. We had like 6, 7 men. And there's actually more because we have them in different chats and stuff. But I was like, wow, we have men on the panel. 6, 7 of the men on the panel. Oh, my gosh. Right? And to me, it's a lot because I had 3. Now I have 7 or 8 consistently that will come through. All right. And if that can get from 3 to 8, I can get from 8 to 16, 16 to 24. I can have a multiply of that. But Dahlia, I think you said it, or Amber said it. You've got to be faithful with the little that you do have. You know what I mean? You know, Links. If Links has got some stuff that he wants to push across, honestly, there's nothing more scary. You know, there's nothing more scary than when someone says, bro, do you have somebody that can do this? And you know that you do, but they're not good. Or they're not of the level that person needs. It's scary because you know what, you don't want to be rude, but you're like, you know what? I don't want to push that person towards them. So I don't get offended when people don't think about me, because I start to realize, no, wait, maybe I need to up my level, because I'm not trying to promote anybody that's not on the level. You understand? Because you're not going to represent me. You know what I mean? And also the job needs to be done well, because whatever you do, you're building another foundation for someone else to also step upon. Do you know what I'm saying? So if Links comes to me, it's like, and I said to, you know, oh, he recommends someone to me and I'm trash at what I do. And not only have I spoke that person, I've also spoke Links and his link to that person. And if they go back and tell anybody else, that reputation is tarnished, bro. And then it ruins a network, because now we've got this whole, he's not very polished, he's not very good at what he does, and now Links is like, now he's have to think about who does he trust next to push somebody across that. It now makes him apprehensive. So it's like everybody has to focus on what they're doing and do it well. It's coming back to that very first conversation we had at the beginning. Please be excellent at what you're doing at your level. Some of you are regional, some of you are international, some of you are global. But you just need to you need to be dedicated at your particular level so that people can recommend and push and network and come together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I said, Paul Logan is not about to recommend me. I haven't crossed his path in that particular way, but I shouldn't be offended by that. I should be working with the level that people are also seeing me. I'm like, hey, let's come together. Let's do some stuff together and build from there, and not looking for the mighty hand of handout from the very top of the tree, asking for a pull-up, when you should be looking at people across from you who can help build a foundation that would actually bring more people alongside with you who are also on that particular level, because it's almost like a pyramid. People at the very top is smaller than the very people at the very bottom. So you should be building with the people on your level to build more platforms for other people to also stand up upon. And I think my final point about this is that the battle that we're facing is always on 2 fronts. There's a spiritual warfare and there's also a physical one. So when we talk about the physical aspect is what we doing as Links, Dahlia, Amber, Trey are saying. Where are you spending your pound? Where are you communicating with other Black people? Are you trying to network? Are you trying to encourage? Are we building spaces where we can thrive? That's the practical side of things. But when Moses and Joshua are fighting, it required Moses as well. So it requires people who we don't necessarily see on the forefront to be lifting up hands, because we need a spiritual awakening amongst Black folk. Because what that spiritual awakening does is what we can't do, which is reach multiple people with the same idea at the same time. We need to do better. And that's what can be communicated without me having to lift a finger in terms of, let's have this conversation. So there needs to be 2 fronts. There's a spiritual awakening, and I'll say that from a Christian point of view, which is that, you know what? Let me So for me personally, I think we are heading in the right direction. It's a bit slow right now. It's slowed down, but I definitely feel we're heading in the right direction. And I've always said this from a Christian point of view, in my perspective. Whenever there's a change of guard spiritually, then you normally see that religion being promoted. So the way that we've started seeing African gods being promoted is the beginning of the change of gods. If you look at any empire, you notice that the gods begin to change. If it's Roman gods, they brought their gods in. The Greek gods, they brought their gods in. Whatever empire is about to take over, their gods begin to come in. So when I saw, like, for instance, Beyonce, what she was doing, and she was talking about, you know, Yoruba gods and stuff like that, what she really was talking about is that there's now beginning a change of guard. When power begins to shift and it begins to change, they also change in the spiritual realms as well. So you will start to see those principalities begin to shift the power to another realm. This is where Africa is coming in. This is where China's also coming in, because you see how China's investing in Africa. I love you, US and UK. We love our countries. I mean, we love what we do and how we get it over there. But the next step that's coming, as you see the way China's investing in Africa, they're about to abuse us. I'm just gonna be real with you. They're about to abuse Africa, real bad. Yeah. But as they're abusing us, they're also building infrastructure. That's one thing that white folk didn't do. No offense to them, but they didn't do that. They robbed us and robbed us clean. But they robbed us clean. But with China, they're actually building infrastructure. So they're robbing us in terms of contracts, in terms of money, in terms of the labor. They are robbing us clean. Yeah. But they're actually building infrastructure, which is what we need in order to have some element of progression in a particular way for Africa. And the reason why I'm talking about Africa is because, in my opinion, we as people, Black, do not progress without Africa becoming a powerhouse, because that's the change of guard. That's a complete change of guard. It does not mean that we are not important on our side. It means that we're also part of that change, because we have to do our bit on our end as well. Because your knowledge, my knowledge, is important, because you see how Africa even watches you guys, especially America. Africa watches you guys so much. They pick up the way you speak, the way that you maneuver, the way you do things, even the way you guys have your ideologies. They're starting to pick it up. So clearly they're influenced by the West. So it's not that we're null and void. We're very important. And so the work we're doing is quintessential. So if Dahlia's doing her job and she's been excellent, if Trey's been his job and been excellent, if I'm being excellent, if Lynx has been excellent, if Amber's been excellent, what it does is it sends a signal back over there that, hey, these guys are doing stuff now. If they can do stuff, we can do stuff on our side as well. That's my personal opinion, from my particular perspective. But does anyone else wants to add as well?
Can I?
It's interesting. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'll be quick.
Links. That's right.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit, Kojo. So you have made the point about being excellent, and I agree with you, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist anyway. So I agree with the idea of excellence. However, even on a regional level, I do think that in order for you to be excellent, you have to practice it. It's like it just comes. And so I do think that at some point when you start to expand out a little bit more, that's when the people who are already in that elevated position, they do need to reach down and give a hand. If you're observing that this person is at that cusp where maybe he's not quite at your level yet, but he has the tools to get there and you can help him get there, then I do think that you have an obligation to do so. And when I say that you have an obligation, I'm talking about people within our community. If you are saying that you are part of our community, if you are identifying freely, nobody's holding a gun to your head, you're saying you're part of the community, then that means that you hold an obligation to the people who are within that community to help them out, just like they helped you out, because nobody's pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. I think that in order for a person to be excellent, you need to practice that. So yes, first that's going to come on a regional level, but at some point that person's going to stretch and expand, and the person at the higher level needs to be ready for that. It needs to be willing and able to come reach behind them and help them out, just like somebody did for them. And that's how you can get to that excellency stage is by practicing it. It's not like it just happens. And I think that right now, people like us, I think I feel comfortable saying that we're all probably on the on the same level, or at, you know, within the same level. I think that this is really the training ground for that. We can practice that with each other, so that way when we do all get to the point, like Links, you were saying that you wanted to do real estate. I mean, you ain't on Trump level yet, but at some point you're gonna get there. So you want to know that there's somebody who's at that level, who's ready and able to help you out, who's part of that same community, or maybe you'll be that person. Maybe you'll be able to crack that barrier. And then when Kojo, when he's ready to start operating in real estate, you can be the person to help him out. I think that also is a mindset that we have to have, is community collectivist level. Africa is very good about that. So is Asia. I point those two out because those are really the only two societies that we have that are like really like collectivist in that area. And they do very well for themselves because of that, because they understand it can't just be you. You really do have to, that whole idea of self-sacrifice, you have to be willing to help the person next to you. Iron sharpens iron and all that. That's how you become great. You can't do that on your own. You just can't. That's really my only pushback.
Over Links. That's good pushback.
No pushback. It's just kind of piggybacking, you know, in excellence, as you're saying. I'm just looking at it from a biblical perspective. Even anything that God was doing, he called for, you know, those that were skillful in their craft. You know, he's building the temple. He had called for skillful builders, or building the tabernacle was called for skillful builders. When he was, you know, building when they were building Solomon's temple, he called for skillful builders, skillful musicians, skillful this, skillful that. So that's something that, again, we have to develop in our community. That also speaks to sacrifice, self-sacrifice. That speaks to a place of being, again, comfortable in discomfort, because you can't be skillful without experiencing, you know, some type of discomfort. And we've got to get to that. Again, we got to get to that place. We have to move, and again, I'm circling back, thinking generationally, and start moving in that direction. There's so many things. And as Coach just said, hence my name's Links. That's a gift that God has given me. I can put people together. I can refer people here and there. I would love to refer people to skillful people that I know. If I'm referring you to this person. This person is going to do. They're skillful in what they do. They're excellent in what they do, and ultimately that turns around and it builds the community. And we just got to do it. I'm done talking. Done talk.
Yo, I'm with you, bro. I'm right behind you, Links. Like, yeah, freak we doing? You know,
Wait,
I
hold on a
wanted to
minute.
say,
Trey, where are you? Because the connection is beautiful, fam. What, did the Lord just deliver you?
let me check outside.
No,
It's no-
just continue. Just continue.
Now, I was going to say something to Dahlia earlier. I appreciate you, but here's specifically why. Because you were honest with yourself. You actually thought about the question I posed, and you said, "Ooh, that may be too far for me, but this is where I'm willing to go." Everyone is not meant for the battlefield. We're going to have to need people. Well, I'm going to use this in layman terms. We're going to need people who's going to be able to do admin, who's going to be able to do supply or whatever. There's a backbone to a movement. It's not just the people who's willing to lay down the life. There's a backbone to it. We all have to play our part in this system so that the system can work and move together, which leads me back to what Link was just about to say. He got on to, yeah, we are trying to talk and it's trying to do something. But going into where Kojo realm is, one thing we got to fix before we can even move is black men, black women. We need to get this shit together. We got to figure out We got to figure this out with us, because let's keep it real. Okay, I'm gonna get into it. Most of the divide that is within our community. Now, this is where I'm going to be going. I'm not going to look at self. I'm going to look outward just a little bit. It was systematically done on purpose to keep us where we are now. Because if you think about when we were together, we moved as one. We supported each other. It wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. You're talking about our ancestors. Nothing is never going to be perfect between men and women, this and that and third. But the union between the black man and the black woman has fallen so far short of what it used to be. So far short. Now we have to take some blame into that. Accountability. That's what it comes into. Individually and together. But especially in this country, since Amber a while ago so eloquently expounded on, this was systematically done to us on purpose to keep us apart. It's real. But when we're together, it's a force to be reckoned with. We are God's children for a reason. But look at where we are now. The divide has never been bigger. So I'm with Links. Yeah, let's go do it. But we gotta do some house cleaning first. We gotta fix this. We gotta fix this. I am so serious about that. We got to fix this before we can even think about going out and fixing other. Think about that.
I definitely agree with Trey on that, and I think it comes back to I think like the first topic we kind of hit on, the media and what we're feeding ourselves. It seems like the cliches and the stereotypes are on a rise now more than ever. And I mean, we could even go back to some of the golden ages. I mean, one of my favorite songs is Poison. It don't make us look all that good though. You got Poison, you got No Scrubs, you got Bugaboo, you got Independent Woman. And it's just, as the years went on, and it just seems like it kept getting worse. And now with social media, it's gone from it being something where you can say it's art and you can look at it from a certain lens to, I feel like social media is kind of blurred fact from fiction. So with that being the case, we add it like this. All the time, and you can see it. I don't know if y'all go on Twitter. Let somebody make a comment about black men or black women on Twitter. Twitter gonna light up like a fire. Next thing you know, it's gonna be on the trending hashtags. Hashtag black women ain't did it. And I'm just like, how did we end up on the trending page? And then I click it and it goes back to the quote tweet. And it's something about, black women is this or black men ain't that. And I'm like, here we go again. And I'm like, we just acting a fool all over, letting everybody see our internal issues. And mind you, every community has their internal issues, but I feel like we put ours on display. And it shows our weakness and our Achilles heel. You don't need your ops knowing what your weakness is. You keep that to yourself and you get that straight. We're not gonna always agree. The opposite sides, we think differently. God created it that way, but it's the fact of we got to have some unity in the situation, because we're seeing the fruits of the divide, and it's not good.
I love black women too much to give up on you. I'm just say that.
We love you too.
Love you too much to give up on you. Even though you get on my nerves sometimes, but
see, let's not do that. You try to start stuff.
I'm gonna be real. You get on my nerves, I get on your nerves. But there's a time and place that listen, we got to do this together. What are we
Never
doing?
trust a big.
What'd you say, Lance?
I'll work with her. Let's go.
Hey,
That's
I'm
my
always
mind.
down for a collab. Let's do this.
Give me a beat. You know what? That beat gonna be rah-rah. I might need a rah-rah on my team right now. Let's go.
Don't let this boy sucker you into anything out here, Amber. Stay excellent, baby. Stay excellent. Don't let this good talk get you now.
It's all
Stay away from
forms of
trade.
All
Don't let him take you away now. You know what I mean? Don't let him take you away.
Maybe all
Nah. All right. Well,
But
let me get everyone's kind of
real quick.
Yeah. Go for it.
Here's a big component. I know we've been touching it throughout the conversation, but I don't know if it's really really been touched on. I know a lot of us here are we're of the Christian faith tradition, and I'm not going to vote those who ascribe to different faith traditions, but I think that I'm saying a big component of our issues is spirituality component has been we've left it. We have left it. I can speak from a Christianity standpoint and say how far we've moved away from God, and in that as we've moved that far away, then we're also seeing the the degradation on the other side. As far as as far as we've moved from him, we're seeing the issues on the other side. And I think that is a big thing that I've seen. I've noticed it over the years, and I it started to scare me some years ago when I started hearing um us as black folks, when I was living in Atlanta at the time, listening to a local radio show, and I started hearing black folks talking about, when this police shootings were on the rise, and black folks started talking about, nah, we're not we're not forgiving anymore. We're not going to, that's it. We're not going to forgive anymore. Where is God? God is, you know, where is God? God is not here, and all this stuff. And once I started to hear that, that started to scare me, and I've watched continually what has happened over the years, and um, that has been a anchor. Our spiritual roots has been an anchor for us, here in the West, to you know bring us through all that we've been through. And once we move completely to self-reliance, um, that's going to be a very scary place when we are we move to a place of complete self-reliance and completely edge God out of the picture. That's going to be that's a very, very scary place, and I'm concerned about that in our community, really big at this time.
Yeah. It's real words. I appreciate it, thanks. Got Dahlia cracking up her neck, so got Dahlia here like this. The word is good. She said the word is good. Nah, I'm playing, but no, that's real. And I appreciate you sharing that links as well. Listen, this has been a productive conversation. I know, it's made me have some thoughts and some things I need to think about in terms of going forward. And Christian component is a big thing, for those of us who have a relationship with God. It's a big thing because it's part of also understanding that there's that whilst I'm looking to build, there is also somebody else who has got my back, who also sometimes where I may think I need to build, he may tell me also to rest. And that's the key difference, There's not everything's in your strength. David was looking to build the temple for God, and God said, it's not you, it's your son. So I need you to back down. So that's the different component where wisdom is kicking in, where God goes, you know what, I love the idea you have. You know what, you Kojo, your panelists, you have great ideas. It's not for use for your children. And that's what you were saying in the run links about the sacrificing for our children. Sometimes the idea may not be for us at this point, but it may be for the generation after. So it's going back to that conversation we said about preparing yourself. What knowledge do you have? Because you need to pass that down, because that is the gold. That is the gold that cannot be touched. It's knowledge, you know. So the God aspect is a big thing as well. So maybe that's a conversation for another day then, you know, that we can have that, you know. Where does God fit in the Black community? Huh? That will rile some people up. That's going to send them over the edge. That's definitely going to send them over the edge. We can have that for another time. That's a good topic. Maybe we can do that next week. So let me just get everybody's kind of concluding thoughts, because the time is coming pretty much to the end. I know slightly earlier than usual, but time is coming to a glorious end. I think it's good to end on this note. So, Amber, let me get your concluding thoughts.
My concluding thoughts is, honestly, the biggest thing holding us back in an odd way is ourselves. We got to get stuff straight with ourselves. Once we do that, once we get ourselves straight and come together, honestly, I feel like nobody and nothing can take us down. That's why they tried to separate us in the first place. They knew our strength. We moved as a unit.
Dahlia, thank you, Amber. Dahlia, you're mute.
Dang it. I pulled a coach on. Okay. I was saying that, first of all, this is a great conversation. I was fully prepared for it to be a dumpster fire, and it wasn't. So really happy about that. But I will say that anybody who knows me is going to be very surprised by what I'm about to say, because I am a true introvert and a homebody. I don't really like people like that. But the revelation that I've gotten over the last year is that too bad, because you need people around you. That's what God has been sharing with me. He's helping me to understand the verse where he says that you love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's not you love yourself and then you love your neighbor. Those are two separate things. It's you love your neighbor so you can love. No, you love yourself so you can love your neighbor. You do the work of taking responsibility for yourself, for your healing, for mental health and wellness, so that you then can take care of your neighbor and help him as well. And that's really the message that I've been talking about all night, is just being able to offer support to each other so we can lean on each other and be able to build the community that we want to see. And then we can leave that to the next generations behind us. So.
Thank you, Dahlia. Trey?
Overarching thing, you know, I'll always speak it together, and only together. Because individually, you may accomplish much, but it always tends to be go but so far. Together will make lasting results. We gotta figure this out together. You know, spread the word, people. Let's love each other again. What are we doing? All this hate. He irked me. Like, I can't stand her. Like, stop. You know, just together. You know, more conversations like this, eye-opening conversations. You know, conversations that actually make you sit and think. People that engage you into thinking. That's big. You know, like, together. Just together, we can do this. Smile with me, people. Together, let me see some teeth. Thank you, Dahlia. Thank you. All right, thumbs up. You know, ain't nothing with a little bit of corniness. I love a little corny. Let's do it. Let's get that cornball word out of here. What are we talking about? Together. You know, we can have a good time while we're doing it. but we're gonna fight and tooth and nail to accomplish it. I know that much. But it has to be together.
Go for it, Links. Thank you, Trey.
I'm just going to say wholeness begets wholeness. Seed produces after its own kind. Let's get healed. Let's become whole. And once we're healed and whole, we can heal the community and we can do what we need to do.
Appreciate Links. All right, listen, audience, it's been a good conversation. I hope you've been inspired. You know, I hope you've been invigorated and you know, you're ready to go and conquer the big bad world. You know, it's been good. I've learned some stuff, and it's made me reevaluate some of my thinking as well. You know, about what kind of impact I can help make on the community. So we all are better for this conversation, and so we'll have more of these in the course of the year as well. So, because I think it's a great topic. Maybe we'll have the next one as well. God in the Black community, and see how that goes. I'm sure the internet gonna break. Internet gonna break because a lot of church that's going on. So I ain't even gonna play. I ain't gonna hold.
That's gonna break every chain. Yeah, that's gonna break.
Break a lot of things. It's gonna cause some mayhem, but you know, that's what God needs. You know, He needs to ruffle some feathers out there for people. So, but listen, audience, as always, it's amazing. It's brilliant. It's been a beautiful time spending it with you guys. Y'all know I ain't gonna leave you just like that. I'm not just gonna leave you like that. I gotta leave you with something. You know, we gotta leave you with a little something. Denzel said it best.
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
All right. Hey guys, listen. Stay locked, stay loaded, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.